The exact night you agree to divorce your wife, she suddenly slides into your bed, quietly wrapping her arms around you from behind. "Stop pretending," she whispers. "Didn't you marry me just for this?" Instantly, your excited heart turns to cold ash. Does she actually believe you abandoned your status as the elite heir to the massive York dynasty just to live as a humiliated son-in-law for this single night? Watching you stay completely still, Sarah sighs and asks if she really needs to spell it out. "Tonight, you can do whatever you want to me. Since you babied me for 3 years," she says, "take this as payment," and that is when you finally snap and shove her away. You ask Sarah if she has lost her mind, leaving her staring back at you in total shock. She suddenly cannot recognize the man standing there. For 3 long years, she was absolutely positive Mark was desperate to touch her. Her only goal was keeping her distance to stay pure for her first love, constantly turning him down. Yet now that she is begging for it, he literally rejects her. Before she can even speak, you push her right out the door. Think about this, you are a literal billionaire prince who could have anyone, yet the only girl you ever genuinely loved thinks you are just after her body. You are totally sickened by this. Back in her own room, Sarah stewed in absolute embarrassment, calling you a complete idiot for turning down something she offered for free. What kind of man is he? Just then, the family nanny knocks gently on the door. Placing down the special herbal soup Mark brewed for her, Sarah just waves her hand and tells her to dump it. The nanny hesitates, quietly explaining that Mark spent the entire afternoon sweating over the stove to make this custom remedy just for her. Dumping it is a tragedy. Hearing this, Sarah stares at the bowl in the nanny's hands. Following a long silence, she mutters to leave it on the table so she can drink it later. She has to admit that since her illness started, she cannot sleep a single wink without his special nightly soup. With the nanny gone, Sarah downs the warm liquid in one gulp and quickly falls fast asleep. This time, her sleep is incredibly peaceful, carrying her deep into a long, hazy dream that feels like it lasts forever. Early the next morning, you grab your suitcase, walk out to an empty field, and dial a number. 20 minutes later, a private helicopter touches down, and an older gentleman in his 60s runs over, crying tears of absolute joy to finally see this day. You smile and nod, greeting Alfred after all these years and telling him it is finally time to go home. He is the chief butler of the ultra-rich York dynasty, and guess what? Your real name isn't even Mark. It is Martin York, the legendary hidden dragon, finally heading back home. Standing there, Alfred respectfully bows with pure joy. "The master will be absolutely thrilled," he says, but looking at his face only brings back your deep regret. Back then, you cut off your own father just to marry Sarah. Looking back now, you really treated the old man terribly. When Sarah finally wakes up around noon, she looks over at her maids and asks if Mark has left yet. The girls just stare back in total confusion, asking who on earth Mark is, making Sarah's eyes go wide with shock. Every single maid shakes her head, claiming they have never heard that name, which sends Sarah straight into a panic. How is that possible? He is her ex-husband who she just ate dinner with last night. Did they all lose their minds? But the maids keep shaking their heads, asking Mrs. Lee if she is just imagining things. They swear no one named Mark has ever set foot in this house, adding that she has never actually been married. Absolutely impossible. That is impossible, Sarah screams, cutting them off before frantically tearing the mansion apart for clues. She knows for a fact they were married and signed the papers last night. There has to be some trace of him left. Yet despite turning the entire estate upside down, she finds absolutely nothing connecting him to this place. Every text, photo, and trace of Mark on her phone is completely gone. She glares at the staff, demanding to know what is going on. If anyone keeps lying, she threatens to fire them on the spot. Seeing no way out, the maids finally crack. They admit that Mark begged them to play along because he did not want to leave her with a single painful memory. He ordered them to pretend he never existed. Hearing this, Sarah's face turns pale with disbelief. Does Mark truly detest her this much? Even without love, they spent 3 years side by side. How could he be this incredibly cold and erase everything? Screaming in raw fury, she orders the terrified maids to get out immediately. Left entirely alone, Sarah realizes she is not nearly as thrilled about this divorce as she thought she would be. Instead, a strange ache hollows out her chest, and for the very first time, doubt starts creeping into her mind. Could she actually be falling for him? But Sarah immediately shuts that ridiculous thought down. How is that even possible when the only man she loves is her white knight, Tommy? Now that he is finally returning from abroad and that cheap substitute is gone, she should be absolutely thrilled. Sarah laughs coldly. What is the big deal anyway? Mark, oh Mark, just you wait, she will forget you in no time. In fact, he is the one who will drown in misery after losing her. Meanwhile, over at the York estate, the family head Arthur asks in total shock if his son Marty is finally home. His voice shakes as Marty replies that, yes, he is back, Arthur's eyes well up with tears as he calls his son a brat, asking if he finally remembered his way home before his old man kicked the bucket. You hang your head, feeling pretty guilty, and quietly apologize. Admitting you should have listened, you apologize. Arthur waves it off, saying fathers and sons don't hold grudges, but asks why Marty returned alone. He asks where his daughter-in-law is. You are completely stunned, asking what daughter-in-law he means. Arthur asks who else but Sarah Lee, reminding Marty that he swore he would only marry her, even threatening to cut family ties. So why did she not come along? For his son's sake, Arthur had actually already accepted her as family. Realizing what he is getting at, you honestly tell him that you two are already divorced. Arthur is completely dumbfounded, demanding to know what happened. With no choice left, you tell him the whole story. Hearing that Sarah used his son as a cheap substitute for 3 years over some absolute scumbag, Arthur snorts in pure disgust. She had the chance to be the happiest woman on earth. Yet she threw away an entire ocean for a filthy gutter. You tell your dad to just forget about her. You ask if anything went wrong with the family business while you were away. Arthur smiles confidently and says of course not. Nothing gets past him. But after pausing to think for a second, he quickly corrects himself. Actually, if we are talking business, there is one major thing. The family is moving their main investments to Riverdale Province this year, but they are still missing the perfect person to run things. You agree that it is a massive deal, feeling pretty optimistic about the potential of Riverdale. Its future growth is absolutely limitless. Arthur looks at you with pride, asking if you have any solid candidates in mind. You instantly step up and offer to do it yourself, explaining that you have not been slacking off these past 3 years. All this time, you kept a very close eye on the domestic economy. Hearing this, Arthur hesitates. He agrees you are the perfect choice, but points out that Sarah is also in Riverdale. He is just worried. You know exactly what his fear is. He is scared you will run right back to your ex. So you tell him straight up to relax, because you are not going to be foolish anymore. You understand how much the family matters. But Arthur remains uneasy, pointing out that Sarah never knew your true identity before. If you return and she discovers your massive wealth, can you promise she will not come begging you to take her back? You scoff coldly. Who cares if she regrets it? Making a massive mistake like that once is more than enough for a lifetime. Hearing this, Arthur slaps his knee in pure joy, praising you as his true son. Now he can finally sleep easy. He tells you to get ready to head out. Meanwhile, after an incredibly exhausting day, Sarah finally makes it back to her house. She kicks off her high heels, slumps onto the couch, and out of pure habit, yells out. Out of pure habit, she calls for Mark to massage her feet. But then, silence. She finally remembers they are divorced, and he is gone. The maid walks up to remind her that Mark left, offering to massage them instead. Sarah waves her off, refusing, and asks if dinner is finally ready. The maid confirms it is done, cooked exactly how Mark trained them. Sarah frowns, wondering why he is still everywhere. Still, she keeps quiet because Mark's cooking was undeniably amazing. She drags herself over to eat, but the very second she takes a bite, she spits it right out. Furious at the awful taste, she demands answers, causing the terrified maid to quickly explain they cooked exactly like Mark. Sarah is furious, calling it absolute nonsense since the flavor is completely different. She asks why the taste is miles apart if it is the same, accusing them of slacking off. The maid starts sweating bullets. The anxious maid insists it is impossible, since they always watched him cook with identical heat and ingredients. Sarah snaps, throwing her chopsticks down, and furiously orders them to take the food back and remake it. If you half-ass this work again, you are done. Get out of my sight. Hearing this threat, the maids quickly cleared the table and ran to the kitchen to start over. Hours passed by. They brought out another steaming pot of stew, setting it down with trembling hands. Sarah took one tiny sip and immediately spat it out. Wrong. Completely wrong. It still tastes like garbage, she snaps, leaving the poor maids shaking like leaves. Make another batch? No way. Sarah shuts them down instantly. If you cannot get the flavor right, making it 100 times will not fix a thing. Get this away from me. Feeling like they had just escaped a death sentence, the maids quickly cleared the table. Back in her room, Sarah grabbed her phone and called her best friend, Chloe. She asks Chloe if she has Mark's contact info, leaving her friend on the other end completely speechless. Chloe asks if she has lost her mind for wanting her own husband's phone number, forcing Sarah to explain the situation. I divorced him. He deleted his number. Sarah admits it casually, leaving Chloe gasping in absolute shock. Chloe screams that every single one of their friends was jealous of her marriage and she actually threw Mark away. She demands to know if Mark cheated, but Sarah just sighs in irritation and claims it has nothing to do with him. Sarah explains she ended things because Tommy is finally returning home, but Chloe still cannot wrap her head around it. She asks if Sarah fried her brain to divorce an amazing guy like Mark for a total scumbag like Tommy. As her closest friend, Chloe had seen exactly how incredibly well Mark had treated Sarah over all these years. When Sarah hit rock bottom years ago, Tommy abandoned her and fled the country to avoid being dragged down with her. If Mark had not stayed by her side through those dark times, her friends were terrified Sarah would have done something tragic. Mark, just a substitute. Tommy is my true love, Sarah scoffs, completely blinded by her own delusion. She insists he must have had some painful reasons for leaving her behind, and she is determined to make it work. Having waited 3 long years, she refuses to lose him again. Chloe is left completely speechless by this delusion. Chloe warns her not to regret this decision, but Sarah lifts her chin proudly, declaring she never regrets anything. Never has. Never will. And she certainly will not start today. Seeing her chance, Chloe carefully asks if she can go after Mark now that they are officially divorced. Sarah is instantly taken aback by the sudden question. Chloe acts like it is the most natural thing ever, asking why it seems so strange to her. He is an incredible catch, so why not? Sarah scoffs and tells her to go right ahead. She even promises to give them her blessing, but Chloe just laughs and warns her not to regret those words later. And honestly, you just know Sarah is going to regret this big time. Sarah refuses to argue any further, quickly snatches Mark's number from her, and abruptly hangs up the call. Tossing and turning in bed, Sarah finds it impossible to sleep, even though she is absolutely drained from the long day. Even worse, memories of Mark keep flashing in her mind, making her angrily slap her own forehead. She never imagined she would get insomnia just 2 days after his departure. The next morning, she heads to the office with heavy dark circles under her eyes. Forget breakfast, she just rushes straight out the door. Over the next few days, she completely buries herself in endless work to block him out, but a strange emptiness still lingers deep inside her daily life. It was just the small, everyday routines, but they turned out to be incredibly important. This miserable routine drags on until today, when she finally looks alive again because her beloved Tommy is landing back in the country. She dresses up meticulously and drives straight to the airport. As the flight from the capital lands safely in Riverdale, Mark steps off the plane holding his luggage. Spotting him, an annoyed Sarah demands to know why he is there, accusing him of stalking her after his sudden disappearance. She was waiting for her perfect prince, but look who she runs into instead, her actual ex-husband. A freezing, silent look. He just keeps walking toward the exit without even breaking his stride. Sarah quickly blocks his path, yelling at him to answer why he is following her around. She demands an explanation, refusing to let him pass, until Mark finally stops with an icy expression on his face. Move. Just one cold word, treating her like a total stranger, and bruising her fragile pride. Furious, she demands to know why he is acting this way and ignoring all her messages. She asks why he vanished just to show up right before her, but Mark completely ignores her and heads for a different exit. Sarah blocks your path yet again, her face dripping with condescension. She sneers Mark, just admit it, you can't let me go at all. She asks if you are doing all this just to get her attention. But right at that moment, another woman's voice calls out from behind. Chloe cautiously steps up, clearly still reeling from some major shock, and timidly asks if you are indeed Mr. York. Earlier today, her company bosses assigned her to pick up a VIP at the airport. The moment she laid eyes on the photo of the person she was supposed to pick up, she was completely stunned. He looked exactly like Sarah's husband, but the profile name read Martin York. Sarah instantly recognizes her best friend's voice. In total shock, Sarah asks Chloe why she called him Mr. York, making Chloe look incredibly awkward as she tries to introduce you. She introduces you as her new boss, Martin York, though she sounds incredibly nervous even saying his name. To be fair, Mark and Martin look virtually identical, but their overall vibes are on 2 entirely opposite ends of the spectrum. Mark was a warm, sweet guy, but Martin? Absolute iceberg. Talk about a crazy 90-degree shift. Sarah frowns hard, refusing to believe it. Martin York? No way, that is Mark. She lived with him for 3 years. Could she really mistake her own husband? Chloe quickly whispers back that their entire company just changed owners. She whispers that she forgot to mention the buyout. She just found out herself that the new owner is some heavy hitter from the capital. The employees did not dare to ask questions, but Sarah still cannot wrap her head around 2 identical strangers existing in this world. She wonders if they might be twins, while Chloe anxiously tugs her sleeve, begging her to stop making a scene. Chloe warns her that if she gets fired, she will never forgive her. Only then does Sarah look at you with regret. She mutters an apology, explaining that she mistook you for someone else because you look exactly like a close friend of hers. Ignoring her completely, you look over at Chloe and tell her it is time to go, but Sarah blocks you. Sarah stops you again, asking you to pass a message if you ever run into a man who looks exactly like you. She wants you to say she is looking for him. You coldly ask why she does not tell him herself. Sarah sighs, complaining that he is not replying to her calls or texts. You just give her a look of pure disdain. You ask if there is a slight chance he just blocked her. Hearing that, Sarah's expression completely sours. She snaps that he would never dare to block her, while you calmly reply that you were only guessing. You flatly ask if you can leave now, forcing Sarah to reluctantly step aside while apologizing for the trouble. Right as you prepare to exit, Tommy comes jogging over, waving excitedly and calling out to Sarah. He rushes right up to her, and right there in the middle of a massive airport crowd, drops down onto one knee. He dramatically begs Sarah to marry him, promising to spend his entire life cherishing her. He vows that if she says yes, he will gladly give her absolutely everything, including his own life. Right at this moment, just as you are about to exit the terminal, you pause and look back at Tommy kneeling on the floor. Feeling everyone staring, Sarah turns red with embarrassment. She frantically winks at Tommy, whispering for him to get up so they can talk about this later. Tommy stubbornly shakes his head, swearing he will kneel right there until he dies unless she promises to marry him. Watching the drama unfold, the surrounding crowd starts cheering loudly and shouting for her to marry him. Hearing the cheers, Sarah blushes even deeper. She is far too old for this kind of cringe public romance. This whole stunt is incredibly humiliating for her. She practically begs him to please just get up. But out of the corner of her eye, she keeps scanning your face, still believing you are really Mark. Honestly, you just have to love how completely ignored she is here. If you were actually Mark, you would be devastated, but you just show total indifference. Sarah feels a quiet pang of disappointment, wondering if she simply overthought everything. Meanwhile, Tommy stubbornly refuses to budge unless she promises to marry him. This is finally starting to make Sarah genuinely angry. Frowning, she warns him that she will be seriously angry if he does not stand up right now. Hearing that threat, Tommy immediately springs up like a coiled wire, begging her not to be mad. But right then, he notices you standing close by. Tommy scowls and asks what you are doing here. Not wanting to waste any time on him, you turn to walk away, but Tommy immediately chases after you, shouting to ask if you are deaf and demanding that you answer him. He sneers that you probably stalked them to the airport because you cannot accept that Sarah dumped your shameless self. You have zero desire to waste your breath, telling him to move while walking ahead, but he refuses to let you go. He cuts you off again, laughing that he must have hit the nail right on the head. Feeling guilty now, are you? You demand in a deep voice, telling him to move. Tommy just sneers, refusing to budge. What am I going to do? You let out a cold laugh. Then slam. You slap him across the face. Smack. That slap blasts Tommy straight into total confusion. He holds his cheek, staring in absolute, stunned disbelief. You actually hit me, you total bastard. Before he can even finish, Tommy rolls up his sleeves, ready to charge. But before he gets close, smack. Another sharp slap lands right on his face. But this time, it is not you who strikes. It is Sarah, yelling at Tommy to stop making a scene. Sarah's brows knit tightly together, feeling pretty humiliated by the whole spectacle. Surrounded by crowds at the airport, she has been trapped in one deeply embarrassing moment after another since meeting Tommy. Why can't this guy just use his head and think about her for once? Tommy clutches his swelling face, looking at Sarah in total shock. Did you really hit me for Mark? Sarah snaps. She roars back, are you done? She insists he is not Mark, but Tommy refuses to believe it. Who else could he be? Sarah, I came back specifically for you, and this is how you treat me? She feels utterly exhausted. In a low voice, she tells him to stop acting noble. After all, he was the one who ran away. Suddenly, painful memories flood her mind. If Tommy had not abandoned her back then, she would never have become a total laughingstock. She divorced her husband just for him, and now? What right does Tommy have to judge her? Now, she is starting to seriously doubt if this version of Tommy is actually worth all her sacrifices. Compared to Mark, Tommy only thinks about himself. Mark actually cared about her feelings, always putting himself in her shoes. She divorced Mark for a guy like this. Unreal. She is really starting to regret everything. Here is the real twist. Tommy snaps back to reality, realizing he almost completely blew his cover. He cannot afford to lose Sarah right now. After all, he still desperately needs her help to survive. Otherwise, his business overseas is going under. He quickly apologizes, claiming he only lost his temper because he cares about her so much. He begs her to forgive him, promising it will never happen again. Hearing this, Sarah takes a slow, deep breath. She admits she also overreacted, but begs him to believe that he is the only one she truly cares about. Otherwise, she would not have divorced her husband. She just needs a little more time before fully accepting him. Tommy fakes a deeply affectionate look. From now on, whatever she says goes, he has all the time in the world. Even if she makes him wait a lifetime, he is willing. Sarah shakes her head, soft affection returning to her eyes. You dummy, she says. How could I make you wait forever? Watching this dramatic soap opera unfold, you look at Chloe in absolute disgust. Let us leave. Right now, your heart is completely undisturbed by their stupid drama. Honestly, you just find it pretty hilarious. These two really are a match made in heaven. One cheats on her husband mentally, while the other is even more absurd. He abandoned her first, yet now he plays the victim like a true professional. You are pretty curious now. If their selfish interests clash, will they still stay this disgustingly sweet? Watch closely, because a pretty wild plan just surfaced in your mind. Soon, you head back to the office with Chloe. The moment you walk in, she brings over a cup of freshly brewed coffee. You frown at her. I do not really like coffee. Chloe looks incredibly awkward. She offers to dump it, but you quickly wave your hand, telling her to just leave it there. Since she already made it, throwing it out would be a total waste. Chloe sets it down, asking you a curious question. Mr. York, have you ever been married? Your internal alarms go off instantly, and you look at her quite suspiciously, asking why. Chloe shrugs, saying it is nothing. She just figures a successful guy like you could easily have 3 wives and 4 concubines. Shaking your head, you tell her you have never been married, so where would you get all those wives? Hearing this, Chloe smiles brightly, calling it a perfect coincidence since they are both completely single. By that logic, aren't they basically a match made in heaven? You immediately spit out the mouthful of coffee you just took. What kind of trash logic is that? By her logic, literally everyone on Earth would be a match made in heaven. Panicking, Chloe grabs some tissues and rushes straight over, trying to help wipe the mess off your expensive suit. But whether it is deliberate or not, she keeps pressing her entire body right against yours. With her top fully exposed right in front of you, you suddenly understand what they mean by heavy fruit on a slender branch. Realizing this, you stop Chloe from wiping the spill. Let it go, you can do it yourself. Just grab the company's financial reports first. Chloe sighs, realizing she has no choice but to fetch those documents. Her face is burning bright red. She only tried to help clean up out of sheer duty, wondering why on earth he spilled it right there. She wonders if he did this on purpose, while you remain totally oblivious to all the massive drama playing out inside her head. Once you finish reviewing the company's financial reports, you suddenly look up. Any real estate auctions this afternoon? Chloe nods, confirming there is indeed one happening over in the East District. You think about it for a second, then tell her to get ready because she is tagging along. Chloe looks pretty surprised by this sudden command. Are you really planning to bid on that land? Since you just arrived, she notes, you might not know the details. That East District plot is basically a useless wasteland with 0 real value, yet somehow quite a few heavy hitters are still keeping close tabs on it. It won't be easy. You frown slightly, turning your eyes straight toward her. Are you questioning my actual abilities here? Chloe instantly panics, explaining that you have completely misunderstood her intentions. She just feels the property is pretty worthless with no real market, especially since this auction is a strictly private, highly exclusive event. You need credentials to even get in, and trying to secure invitations now is pretty much impossible in this short time. Instead of arguing with her, you don't say a single word and just pull out your phone to make a call. Watch this power move. A few minutes later, you hang up, telling a totally stunned Chloe it is handled. That fast? You look at her dead seriously, explaining there are only 2 types of people in this world. First, those with real money. As long as you have enough of it, absolutely everyone will clear a path for you. That is the raw power of wealth, meaning standard rules and procedures are absolutely nothing but a joke to true capital. Now, Chloe is genuinely impressed. Giving you a quick thumbs up, she admits she is totally convinced by your logic. She promises to get ready immediately before turning around and quickly leaving your private office. The moment she leaves, a text from Sarah pops up. You blocked her calls, but standard text messages still slip through. She writes that she needs to talk, knowing you will see it, and begs you to meet up if possible. Staring at the screen, you initially want to ignore her, but you realize it is finally time for a clean break. So you text her back, telling her to send over the meeting spot. Once the address arrives, you stand up and head out, casually telling Chloe that you need to step out for a bit. Chloe quickly offers to tag along, but you wave your hand and immediately decline, keeping your distance. Tell her to focus on her work because you both have a big afternoon ahead, then you walk out the door. Right then, Chloe gets a text from Sarah asking if her boss, Martin, just left the office. This makes Chloe suspicious, Sarah literally just asked Mark to meet up, and now Martin is leaving at the exact same moment. The dots are connecting. Is she going to expose his secret identity to Sarah? But mid-draft, her heart skips a beat and she quickly deletes the message before sending it. Instead, she lies and says Martin is still inside. Reading this, Sarah feels a wave of disappointment. She realizes she totally overthought things, believing Martin and Mark are definitely two different guys. Either way, she is just thrilled. Mark agreed to meet up, deeply relieved that he is finally done avoiding her like the plague. Soon, you meet up at the designated coffee shop, and you immediately ask what she wants from you. Cutting straight to the chase, your icy tone makes Sarah pretty uncomfortable. She admits she is the one who messed up and desperately wants to make things right, playing the emotional card. Apparently, she hates owing emotional debts, but you frown, pointing out you never actually knew that about her. But the past is dead. She owes you nothing, and it is best if you both simply stop bothering each other. Surely she can do that, right? Hearing this, Sarah's expression instantly turns quite cold. She accuses you of lying to yourself, claiming you still love her, which literally makes you laugh out loud. You ask Miss Lee where she gets this insane confidence, and why she thinks you cannot let her go. Sarah argues that if you truly did not care, you would not have packed absolutely everything when you left. You even made the housemaids act like they forgot her, which allegedly proves your lingering feelings for her. Feeling completely helpless, you apologize, admitting some of your actions might have caused her to deeply misunderstand you. Looking her right in the eyes, you make it crystal clear, stop calling, and stop texting your phone. Sarah clenches her fists. Hard. Do you really hate me? You just shake your head. You tell her she is overthinking. No love means no hate. That is the simple truth. Hearing this, Sarah jumps up, screaming. What about all our years of history? Do you dare say you never liked me? You cannot help but laugh. Real feelings? Please. Sure, you liked her once, but that was in the past. Now, you just want to stay as far away from her as possible. But Sarah completely blocks out that painful second half. She simply nods, satisfied. As long as you admit you once liked her, she claims that is enough. It is pathetic. She is just trying to scrape together a tiny bit of her ego. You frown and tell her to stop throwing tantrums. Asking her not to contact you anymore so you can both move on peacefully, you prepare to leave. Then, you suddenly remember something. Turning back, you ask her where that precious first love of hers is. Didn't he tag along today? For some reason, a sudden wave of irritation hits Sarah. She brushes it off, muttering that he is busy. You just nod. Surely you two are getting married soon, right? Send over an invitation when the big day comes. Promise to bring a big fat red envelope. After all, you are her ex-husband. With that, you walk out without looking back. Staring at your retreating back, Sarah grits her teeth and runs after you. Swallowing her pride, she asks if you really have to treat her this way. She claims she only wanted to know if you two could still be friends. You just let out a cold, self-deprecating laugh. Forget about being friends. Honestly, you are not qualified to be the great Miss Lee's friend. It is better to stay apart. Strangers is much better. Defensively, Sarah argues that even though you are divorced, those years of feelings do not just vanish. Even if you cannot be husband and wife anymore, is being friends really that terrible? Calling her for help anytime is her grand advice. Ridiculous. You cannot be bothered with her nonsense anymore. Walking to the counter, you settle the bill and leave. Sarah closes her eyes as memories of the man who once absolutely adored her flash through her mind. Regret briefly flickers across her face, but just then, a waiter approaches her table. Excuse me, miss. The gentleman who just left only paid for his own cup of coffee. Wait, did you really just do that? Sarah stares at the waiter in sheer disbelief when he reveals you only paid for one cup. Instantly, that tiny bit of regret she felt completely vanishes. Fine, great. You really think you are something, Mark. She thinks she must have been blind back then to choose such an unromantic blockhead as a husband. Seeing your true colors, she actually feels incredibly lucky now. So lucky that she divorced you. Later that afternoon, you arrive at a luxury hotel in the East District with Chloe. This is the big auction venue. And of course, because drama follows you everywhere, look who you immediately bump into right there in the lobby. Standing there is Tommy, scowling at you. He demands to know what you are doing here. Deadpan, you ask why you cannot be here if he is. Tommy hesitates, then sneers. How can a guy like you even compare to me? Look at my status. Mocking your status, he smirks. You play dumb, asking what exactly your status is compared to his. He absolutely loves comparing himself. Patiently, he explains that you are just a leech living off women, while he runs actual businesses abroad. Do you really think you are on his level? Curious, you ask if that is actually impressive. Smugly, Tommy scoffs. At the very least, a nobody like you could never reach his level in a single lifetime. Never in this life, the next, or even the one after that. You will never match him. Hearing this, you let out a massive sigh of relief. Thank goodness. You would absolutely hate to end up like him. Just then, Sarah walks over and stares at you, completely baffled. Mark, what on earth are you doing here? Frowning, you tell her you were invited. Before Sarah can reply, Tommy sneers right in your face. Are you insane? Do you even know what this event is? Who would ever invite someone with your pathetic status? Calling you a country bumpkin who clearly snuck inside, he laughs. Hearing this, Sarah deepens her frown. She tells you to leave immediately if you actually snuck in. This is not a place you can just wander into. Irritated, you repeat that you were invited. You tell them both to stop worrying their pretty little heads about it. Annoyed, Sarah claims she is only looking out for you. But suddenly, someone calls out for you, Mr. York. Chloe suddenly interrupts their conversation. Hearing her voice, Sarah instantly freezes right in her tracks. She snaps out of it, stammering that it is Martin York, a complete mistake. She drags a very confused Tommy away, but after a few steps, he angrily shakes her hand off. He scowls and demands to know why she pulled him away, so Sarah explains that the guy is Martin York. Impossible, Tommy insists, because there is no way he could mistake Mark. Sarah helplessly sighs, telling him she cannot explain it all now, but he is definitely not Mark. He is the big boss of Manhwa Group, Martin York, making Tommy's eyes pop in absolute surprise. Sarah can only repeat the exact story Chloe told her, trying to convince him. So it is totally impossible for him to be Mark, but even after hearing that, Tommy still refuses to believe it and stubbornly marches back over. Tommy fake apologizes for his sudden mistake, but you cannot be bothered to waste any time. You turn directly toward the auction hall, leaving Tommy to curse you internally as a country bumpkin. He vows to expose you, trying to corner you again. Tommy begs to treat you to a nice dinner after the auction ends, but you completely ignore his fake invite and walk past. You tell Chloe to walk inside with you, but a stern security guard suddenly blocks your path at the entrance. The guard asks for an invitation. You simply shake your head and tell him you do not have one. The guard frowns immediately. His face turns incredibly cold and stern. The guard orders you to leave without an invite, and honestly, look at Tommy in the background, he is absolutely thrilled to see this. Tommy gloats, thinking you are definitely just Mark, a broke loser simply trying to fool everyone. Sarah frowns at Tommy's smug face, but before she can speak, you tell the guard that your surname is York. You tell the guard to call his boss and ask, and instantly, the security guard's face changes completely. He asks if you are Mr. Martin York, and you calmly confirm it, asking to go inside now. The guard nods frantically, quickly telling you that the hotel doors are always wide open for Mr. York. He respectfully steps back, making an inviting gesture for you to walk inside. You cannot really blame his reaction. The big boss had personally called earlier, ordering everyone never to block Martin York under any circumstances. The staff was told to treat you like the boss's own father. Anyone who dared to offend Martin York would be fired on the spot, so how could a lowly guard dare block you? Watching you casually stroll right inside, Tommy is left completely speechless, utterly baffled because everyone supposedly needed a strict, official invitation to enter. Right beside him, Sarah is just as shocked, silently wondering who on earth you could actually be. She knows very well how incredibly powerful the backing behind Han Palace Hotel actually is. To enter freely with just one simple sentence, she wonders if your background eclipses even their massive power. While she reels, Tommy confidently swaggers toward the entrance, but the guards at the door immediately block him for an invite. Tommy defensively snaps that he does not have an invitation, meeting the guard's cold, stern gaze. The guard coldly tells him to leave immediately without an invitation, making Tommy fly into a complete rage. He demands to know why you got in without one, but the guard respectfully answers that Martin York is our VIP guest. Naturally, he is different from ordinary people, and his presence is an absolute honor for our hotel. Seeing the guard treat you like royalty makes Tommy completely lose his mind as he screams out, questioning your VIP status. Tommy tells the guard to open his eyes, shouting that he is the actual boss of an overseas company. He threatens to have the guard fired, but the security officer remains entirely unfazed by his loud mouth. The guard calmly invites him to complain, but repeats that he must leave right now without any invitation. Instead of leaving, Tommy completely ignores the warning and tries to force his way inside, yelling that he refuses to be treated like this by snobs. He challenges them to do something about it, prompting the guard to sneer and repeat his ridiculous question. The guard asks who gave him the guts to cause trouble here, and then, "Oh, you are going to love this," he slaps Tommy hard. With a loud crack, Tommy's cheek swells instantly, leaving 5 bright red finger marks visible on his skin. The painful slap knocks him back to reality, and he immediately throws himself onto the floor, screaming that the guard hit him. He demands massive compensation, crying out that he absolutely refuses to leave until they pay him. Tommy literally throws a massive tantrum right on the floor, and his practiced routine proves he's done this way too many times. Horrified, Sarah quickly steps forward and hands over her invitation, trying to apologize for her pathetic companion. She claims he came with her and begs for forgiveness, looking down at Tommy rolling on the ground with pure disgust. Can you even believe a grown man would act like a crying toddler? He's rolling on the dirty ground, and she instantly regrets bringing him along. If she had known he'd act like this, she'd have left him. He is totally humiliating her. How did she never realize Tommy was such a massive loser? This is the Han Palace Hotel. Did he think this was his trashy apartment? The guard takes her card and immediately softens, welcoming Miss Lee inside. She forces a tight smile and walks past the scene. But then, Tommy lets out a furious roar from behind. He demands Sarah order the guards to kneel and apologize, screaming about his successful overseas company and how they dare touch him. He refuses to let them get away with it. Suddenly, a furious Sarah slaps him right across the face, telling him to shut his mouth. Asking if he's embarrassed her enough, she watches Tommy cover his face, resentment burning in his eyes. He finally shuts up, lowering his head to obediently follow her inside. Once inside, Sarah quickly finds a random seat to sit down. The guests here are major real estate players, and since seating is free, people are just scattered all over. Soon after, the host steps on stage, shares some quick pleasantries, and cuts right to the chase. Welcoming the crowd, he announces that everyone is here for this exact land and officially starts the auction. The starting bid is 50 million, and instantly, paddles fly into the air as the price climbs fast. It hits 80 million quickly, and Sarah raises her paddle. 100 million. She's on a strict mission. Winning this land is absolutely crucial for the Lee family's future development, but her high bid is quickly and brutally crushed by someone else. There's no stopping it. This land's potential is just too massive. Watching Sarah raise her bid over and over, Tommy gets completely anxious and desperately tries to stop her. He begs her to let it go, arguing the land isn't worth the cost and the development investment will be too high. You'll lose everything. Tommy is mostly panicked that if Sarah dumps all her money into this project, his overseas company won't get any funding. He is still leeching off her. Sarah glares at Tommy and snaps that buying this land was a decision made by her entire family. No way is she giving up just because of his complaining. Being treated like this by Sarah makes Tommy pretty angry, but he can't say much. Still, thinking about his own business, he can't help but plead that he's doing this for her own good. He claims the land won't help her family and will only drain a massive extra investment. She won't break even for 3 to 5 years, and she faces a huge risk of losing everything entirely. Sarah coldly replies that she knows he's thinking of her, but doing business always comes with a lot of risks. Besides, this is the company's early strategy, and she has no right to change it. The bidding rapidly hits 300 million. Sarah grits her teeth and bids 350 million. A voice praises her great courage from the side, and Sarah's heart suddenly stops when she sees who is speaking. Why is Zach here? Almost nobody in the province has the power to stand against the massive Shen family. Now watch this. If Zach wants it, nobody else stands a chance. Zach smirks at Sarah and confidently bids 500 million, instantly making her face turn completely cold. 500 million is way too high. Even if she won, she would still have to pour a fortune into development. It's an absolute money pit, and her family simply doesn't have that much cash. Defeated, Sarah sighs, realizing she has to quit. Zach turns around and looks at her with a mocking, playful smirk. He teases her to keep bidding, complaining that it gets lonely playing by himself. Suddenly, a cold, confident voice laughs and bids 550 million. Zach spins around and sneers, asking Victoria if she's really trying to fight him, warning he won't hold back. Victoria sneers and tells Zach she does not need him to hold back, let the highest bidder take it, but Zach does not seem to care at all. He jokes that her company is good enough to keep him from getting lonely, before boldly yelling out his bid of 600 million. Hearing this, Victoria frowns deeply. Following a tense silence, she turns her gaze directly towards Sarah. She asks Sarah how much cash she has left. Sarah's eyes light up, realizing she wants to buy this land together, and Victoria nods. Exactly, Victoria says. Our families cannot beat the powerful Shen family alone with our current financial situations. Why not team up? Sarah considers it, then nods. A partnership works, but they must both carry their own share of the risks. No problem. Victoria agrees instantly. She was already thinking the exact same thing. She would have proposed it anyway. Meanwhile, Tommy was actually celebrating a moment ago because Sarah had seemingly given up on the property. But check this out, Victoria suddenly crashes the party, leaving Tommy trying to talk them out of it. He urges Sarah to just drop it because the risk of this joint venture is far too high. It is not like you absolutely need this land, he says. Victoria looks over and asks who he even is, leaving Tommy absolutely furious. Victoria honestly does not recognize him, despite the fact that he runs an entire company overseas. He had quite a bit of local fame before leaving the country. How could a gorgeous woman like her have never heard of him? Sarah introduces him as her friend Tommy, and Victoria immediately realizes he is that worthless piece of garbage. How does he have the nerve to return? She even asks if Sarah got divorced over this garbage, turning Tommy's face completely green. He snaps at Victoria, demanding to know what she means by that. Victoria just stares back at him with absolute, pure disgust. It means exactly what it sounds like, she says. Trash like you is what I absolutely despise the most. When Sarah was sick, you hid away. Now that she is healthy, you come wagging your tail back and even forced her to get a divorce. Am I wrong? Terrified that Sarah will remember the painful past, Tommy stutters out that he had his own personal difficulties. Victoria snorts coldly and wants to keep talking, but Sarah interrupts, telling her that is quite enough. Sarah says it is her private business, and she does not need her interference. Victoria smiles, admitting she is probably overstepping. She raises the bid to 800 million, making Zach's face turn completely ugly. Gritting his teeth, he screams out 1 billion. It is not like money just grows on trees. Teaming up, the Yan and Lee families are forcing him to waste extra cash for nothing. Victoria and Sarah look at each other and sigh. The price is just too crazy, so they give up. With no more bids, the auctioneer raises his gavel, calling out 1 billion going once, while Zach stands up with a smug smile. Even though he spent way too much, he still got what he wanted. He is already planning where to celebrate tonight, while several people in the crowd rush over to congratulate him and kiss his boots. Congratulations, young Master Shen. They praise his family as Riverdale's absolute best for dropping 1 billion so easily. Hearing all this flattery, Zach's ego completely goes through the roof. He thanks everyone for their constant support, boasting that he has already booked a high-end venue for them. Inviting them for drinks, he is interrupted when the auctioneer calls out 1 billion going thrice. Out of nowhere, a casual voice calls out 1.5 billion, instantly freezing the smug look on this wealthy heir's face. Talk about a brutal face slap. This sudden, last-second bid completely ruins his victory moment. The entire crowd turns in absolute shock toward you, sitting in the front row. 1.5 billion is just insane. That is enough cash to purchase multiple massive buildings, and nobody in the room even recognizes who you are. You have never shown your face around here before, leaving Zach absolutely furious as he wonders who you could be. Crossing him is a dead end. But despite his boiling rage, he is completely powerless to do anything. After all, 1.5 billion is simply too massive of a price, far exceeding his limit, forcing him to quit. The gavel finally slams down hard, officially declaring you as the winner of this highly contested plot of land. Right then, Victoria recognizes you, quickly whipping her head around to stare at Sarah in absolute silence. She asks if that is her ex-husband, her expression instantly shifting from complete shock to pure, mocking amusement. Did she really dump a top-tier billionaire who easily dominates the Shen family just to crawl back to a total loser? Has she completely lost her mind? Sarah frowns and quickly shakes her head, claiming that she has got it all wrong. She has no way of explaining this anyway. Meanwhile, with thousands of eyes glued to you, you calmly walk up to the stage. Picking up the microphone, you address the crowd. You all must be pretty curious about who I am. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Martin York, from the capital, and I'm incredibly happy to meet everyone today. The capital. The York name. Could it actually be? Hearing this, the crowd explodes with wild, unbelievable speculation. Because the capital Yorks? Absolute giants. Why would they ever visit a tiny spot like Zhenghai City? You just chuckle, saying I assume you have all guessed it by now. Yes, I am indeed a York, and I came here with a very specific purpose that I am more than happy to share with you. The Yorks plan to invest 30 billion in Zhenghai City. So if you have any solid projects or want to partner with us, bring your proposals. Hearing this, the entire room completely loses its mind. 30 billion. Even if they only got the leftover scraps, they would still end up incredibly, ridiculously wealthy. With that realization, the hall explodes into thunderous cheering, and Tommy's eyes pop wide open in absolute disbelief. Yes, 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 he thinks I need this deal. To partner with a guy this massive, I would literally call him daddy. Right next to him, Sarah stands frozen in pure shock. He really is a capital York. What a tragedy. If only he were actually Mark. Meanwhile, Zach, who was ready to explode with anger a second ago, deflates like a sad, popped balloon. The Shen clan might act tough in Riverdale, but these capital elites could squash them like tiny bugs with a casual flick. A slow smirk spreads across Victoria's face as a cold, calculating light begins to spark in her eyes. If she can cozy up to him, the crown for Riverdale's absolute richest might just find a brand new owner. You step off the stage under their greedy gazes, the trap is set, and now we get to watch them crawl. Seeing her boss sit back down next to her, Chloe is left completely stunned. She knew Martin had cash, otherwise buying her business would have been impossible, but she seriously, massively underestimated the sheer scale of it. Real wealth truly stretches the mind. The second you sit down, Victoria confidently struts right over to you. Launching her charm offensive, she purrs, "Hello there, young Master York. I am Victoria of the Yen family." She brushes her hair back with practiced grace, giving you a look that is just downright incredibly flirtatious. She even drops a seductive wink, making Tommy grit his teeth in jealous rage from behind. Cursing his luck for not being born a woman, he looks over at Sarah. "Hey Sarah, why don't you go over and say hello?" Clueless about Tommy's sketchy plan, Sarah hesitates for a brief second before standing up and slowly walking toward you. But before she can even speak, Tommy cuts in first, introducing himself as Tommy to young Master York. He begs for forgiveness for offending you earlier, hoping a big man like you won't hold a grudge against a total nobody. Claiming you look exactly like an old friend, he gets totally ignored. You do not even look at him, choosing to focus on Sarah instead. Seeing this, Sarah quickly steps in, introducing herself as Sarah Lee from the Prominent Lee Group. Apologizing for the awkwardness earlier, she politely asks if she can treat you to a nice dinner sometime. To make up for the trouble, she says, but you just pull your gaze back and coldly tell her it is not convenient. Sarah stands frozen in absolute shock. He was completely friendly with Victoria just a minute ago. Why humiliate her in front of everyone like this? She wonders why she got rejected so instantly and brutally. Under the amused stares of the crowd, Sarah is utterly mortified, wishing she could literally sink into the floor right now. Muttering a quick apology, she turns to walk away in shame, but her ringing phone suddenly stops her in her tracks. Asking what he needs, she hears her father, Richard, speaking on the other line in a very commanding, strict voice. He orders her to get home tonight because they have questions, but she hesitantly asks if they can just talk over the phone. She explains she is pretty busy, but he barks back that if she does not return tonight, she should never come back at all. Richard abruptly cuts her off and hangs up immediately. Noticing her pale expression, Tommy asks if everything is okay, and she apologetically explains her dad needs her home. She must leave tonight and cannot do dinner, prompting Tommy to put on a show of being incredibly understanding. "No worries, just head back first, we will have plenty of chances later on." Just then, your own phone buzzes. Seeing the caller ID, you frown and politely excuse yourself to step away. Mentioning you have to take this, you walk off to a quiet spot, leaving Sarah behind staring as her expression suddenly shifts. "My dad just hung up on me, and Martin's phone rings right after. Could Martin actually be Mark, and is my dad calling him right now?" She guessed it. You pick up, and Richard's happy voice comes through. "Mark, what have you been up to lately? You haven't come to see your mother and me in ages. Just come over tonight and let's have a few drinks, just the two of us." You apologize, explaining it might not be convenient because you and Sarah already divorced. You figured it was best to tell the two elders the truth. Otherwise, things would get way too messy later. But get this, Richard didn't even care. He asks, "So what if you're divorced? That is your own business, but as long as you call me dad, you are still my son-in-law." Truth is, Richard already knew about this for quite some time. He specifically wanted to discuss this when calling you and Sarah over. In his heart, he always treated you like his own biological son. Hearing his kind words and remembering how wonderful they always treated you, you feel pretty moved. You tell him not to say that, because in your heart, he will always be your dad. Nobody's heart can stay cold forever. Over 3 years of marriage, you had completely won over the Lee family. Well, everyone except Sarah, of course. Richard tears up. "Good," he says happily, "then it is a solid deal." He promises to have your mom cook up extra dishes, reassuring you they will all be your favorites. With that, he happily hangs up. You take a deep breath, staring at the screen for a long moment, before stepping outside and leaving the auction behind. Dinner time. You arrive at Richard's house exactly as promised. Seeing you, Richard rushes over to pull you into a massive hug, jokingly calling you a brat and asking if you wanted him to die of missing you. You pat his back. "I am sorry, Dad, some things came up recently." You tell him you have been a bit busy. Richard already knows the truth and does not press you. He leads you inside to the living room, where Sarah's younger sister, Mia, is home on break. She immediately runs over smiling. She excitedly welcomes her favorite brother-in-law and tries to drag you off to play video games. Richard keeps a strict face and tells her to go play alone because he has business with you. Hearing this, Mia pouts and reluctantly steps away, but she playfully winks at you when her dad turns his back. You just smile and nod. You ask Richard what he wanted. He sighs, looking deeply apologetic, and says they already know about you and Sarah. He blames himself for not raising Sarah right, but you quickly tell him not to say that. Love requires mutual effort, and besides, none of this has anything to do with you. You feel pretty overwhelmed by their warmth, since you fully expected the Lee family to cut all ties with you after the divorce. But hold on to your surprise, Mother Lee, Barbara, walks over right then. She insists it has everything to do with them, saying their family truly wronged you. Your heart warms instantly. You smile, and tell them they are making it sound too serious, since everything you did was entirely your own choice. No regrets. Hearing your response, Richard decides to ask a very important question. He asks you honestly if there is still any remaining hope or chance for a reconciliation between you and Sarah. You answer seriously that things are honestly fine just the way they are. Hearing this, Richard can only sigh and drop it. He tells you she was never good enough anyway, and as long as you still acknowledge them, nothing else matters. You hug them tightly. How could you ever ignore them when they treat you so wonderfully? They will always be your parents. But right at that moment, Sarah walks in, and her face instantly twists with anger. She demands to know what Mark is doing at her parents' house, which immediately causes an already irritated Richard to snap back. He yells that this is Mark's home too, and that they invited him. This only makes Sarah even more upset. She complains that they should have told her in advance, because she never would have come to face such an awkward situation. Richard is absolutely furious, asking why they need to tell her anything when this is their house and not hers. Caught right in the middle, you feel incredibly awkward, so you slip away to Mia's room to chat while she plays a game. Spotting you, she drops her phone to excitedly invite you to play along, but you reply with a pretty awkward smile. You gently tell her she does not need to call you that anymore since you and her sister are officially divorced. Mia seems completely unfazed, telling you she simply enjoys calling you her brother-in-law anyway. Smiling helplessly, you let it go, before suddenly remembering and asking if she still wanted that necklace she liked last time. You hand over a delicate gift box, telling her it is for her, and Mia immediately lights up, cheering that her brother-in-law is simply the best. She complains her sister refused to buy it, but you just smile, happy that she likes the present. Mia immediately slips the shiny necklace on and keeps admiring her reflection, thanking you repeatedly because she absolutely loves the gorgeous gift. Then she stops, pointing out how expensive it is when all your money belongs to her sister. She demands to know how you even afforded this, forcing you to confess it is just from the $3 million divorce settlement her sister paid. Mia instantly pouts, complaining that $3 million is cheap and her sister is stingy. She argues that you should have taken her straight to court, since she was the one who cheated, so you could claim at least half of her massive assets. And look at this, she actually grabs her phone, offering to find you the absolute best lawyer in town. You quickly grab her arm to stop her, reminding her that is her own biological sister. She just shrugs, arguing you are her real brother-in-law anyway and you are simply way too kind. Insisting she would never let them off so easily, she leaves you to just shake your head bitterly. You tell her to just drop the subject because her support is already enough for you. She smiles, saying that since you bought her such a pricey gift, she has to return the favor. You mockingly laugh it off, teasing the broke student about her tiny allowance and wondering what she could possibly afford to give you. Mia just giggles slyly before suddenly lunging forward and planting a massive kiss on your cheek. Caught completely off guard with absolutely no time to react, you back away in a slight panic, asking the crazy girl what she is thinking. She immediately protests, pointing out that since you and her sister are divorced, a little kiss is fine. You can only shake your head in disbelief, warning her to stop fooling around because she is still young. How is she going to find a boyfriend if people find out? You wonder, but Mia just proudly thrusts out her chest in total defiance. She snaps back that she is almost 18, and if she cannot find a boyfriend, she will just marry you instead. You just shake your head, laughing at the little troublemaker who is always causing scenes. Trying to remind her of your dynamic does nothing, as Mia just pouts and begs you to finally stop with the brother-in-law talk. You said it yourself, you and my sister are already divorced, so you are not my brother-in-law anymore. Even if we really do get married in the future, nobody would say a thing. Since my sister did not realize how blessed she was, let me be the one to cherish you from now on. You frown, pretending to be angry. Mia, if you keep talking nonsense, I won't even call you my little sister anymore. Seeing that you are actually upset, Mia gives a playful, apologetic smile. Fine, brother-in-law, she says, I will stop, but I am not giving up. Sooner or later, you will be mine, she says, pumping her fist with determination. You scratch your head, looking totally helpless at the girl in front of you. Outside is your ex-wife, and inside is this little schemer. Talk about a total battlefield. Right outside, Sarah is getting absolutely blasted by her angry father, Richard. Did your brain get squeezed in a door? Mark is a wonderful man. Why divorce him? Sarah stubbornly snaps back, I never liked him, and I only married him because I was forced to. Hearing that, Richard gets incredibly furious. He slaps Sarah right across the face. Has a dog eaten your entire conscience? Mark gave up so much for you, and this entire family. Are you completely blind? Sarah covers her cheek, looking at her father in total shock. He had never hit her in her life. She never expected his first blow would be for an outsider. Tears stream down her face as she snaps back. I don't care, because if I don't love him, I don't love him. I can't lie to my own heart. Besides, I gave him $3 million. He is doing just fine. Upon hearing his daughter say this, Richard wants to knock some sense into her. A measly $3 million? That is not even enough to cover a single month of our Lee family profits, and you threw away an incredible son-in-law over that pocket change? You are going to literally drive me to an early grave. Go remarry Mark immediately, right this second. As for that cheap white knight of yours, you better forget about him immediately. Even if I die, only Mark is my son-in-law. Anyone else has absolutely zero chance. Sarah gritted her teeth, looking utterly resolute. I will never remarry him, not even if I die. Richard is trembling with absolute rage. Fine, great, perfect. Then get out of my sight and go rot. From today on, I am no longer your father. Don't you want to be with that Tommy guy so badly? Over our dead bodies, her father Richard yelled. But his fierce opposition only triggered Sarah's rebellious streak. I will be with him anyway. Sarah yells as Richard clutches his chest in absolute fury. Her parents demand to know how they raised such a love-struck fool, reminding Sarah how that man abandoned her years ago. But Sarah defends him, arguing he must have had his own painful reasons for walking away. Richard grips the sofa and points at her, screaming for her to leave his house and saying he has no daughter anymore. Seeing this, Barbara rushes over, gently rubbing Richard's back. Terrified her husband might pass out from rage, Barbara turns to Sarah, asking what on earth is wrong with Mark. Why on earth would you insist on divorcing him? Sarah simply shakes her head and tells her mother that Mark was never the problem. He was incredibly kind and outstanding, and she was truly touched by how he cared for her back then. But gratitude is not love, she says, only for her dad to roar back, calling her a complete idiot. You do not deserve Mark. Richard curses loudly. Sarah just takes a slow, deep breath. Quietly telling her father to take care of his health, she immediately turns on her heel and walks out of the house. Now watch this, you step out of the shadows, having heard every single word of their massive fight. You are deeply, truly grateful to her wonderful parents, but some relationships are simply destined to fail. You walk over to bid him goodbye, but the old man quickly reaches out to stop you. He begs you not to leave so quickly and to stay for a few drinks, and you decide to agree. Despite the divorce, these two elders had always been incredibly kind, and you do not want to hurt them further. A few drinks later, Richard smiles warmly and reveals that he and Barbara have already made a plan. He wants you to marry young Mia once she graduates. You just stare at him, completely speechless. You tell him to stop joking since Mia is so young, but Richard just chuckles softly. She is 18 now, and ready to date, suggesting you two can just date for a few years first. Then you can marry her after graduation, proving the old man is absolutely determined to keep you as a son-in-law. He does not care which daughter you marry, leaving you to shake your head in complete disbelief. Marrying your former sister-in-law? People would talk. It is a completely insane idea. Everyone would point fingers if word got out, but Richard remains completely unbothered by what outsiders think. He says they live for themselves, not others, but you insist he should at least get Mia's actual consent first. You call it too hasty, but the old man raises a hand, cutting you off completely. He reveals he already asked Mia, and she is totally fine with it, meaning you are the only problem. You sigh and explain you are simply not in the mood for romance right now. Knowing he cannot push you too hard, Richard just smiles and tells you there is absolutely no rush, letting you drink him into a happy stupor before you finally leave the villa. You feel totally helpless dealing with this overly eager father-in-law, yet you know his care is incredibly genuine. Just thinking about his warmth makes you smile inside. But wait, here is the real kicker. Sarah blocks your path, having never actually left the property. She was waiting by the gates this entire time, causing you to frown and ask what she wants. Staring with an incredibly serious expression, she demands that you refuse every single thing her parents just begged you to do, regardless of what they said. She promises you won't lose out, telling you to just name your price. She offers to pay whatever amount of cash you want, earning a highly disdainful sneer from you. You mockingly ask if she is that terrified of you clinging, making Sarah frown and complain about your tone. She claims she paid you everything you deserved and owes nothing, warning you not to play games using her family. There is zero chance for you two since she only loves Tommy, prompting you to just smile and nod along. You mockingly agree that a nobody like you would never dare to dream of someone like her, making Sarah frown deeper. She snaps at you to talk normally, telling you to stay away from her family and drop the pathetic fantasies. She tells you to move on since you are already divorced, but you just shrug off her words completely. You mockingly tell her not to worry, promising to stay far away before taking your leave. Watching you walk away, Sarah wants to ask something else but hesitates, ultimately sighing and heading back to her empty house. Tommy has been waiting there for ages, and the second she steps inside, he eagerly asks how the talk with her parents went. Sarah collapses heavily onto the living room sofa, completely exhausted, sighing that they still want her to remarry Mark. Tommy eagerly rushes to massage her shoulders, but she subconsciously pulls away just a bit. She usually let Mark massage her, and seeing Tommy trying it now, her ex-husband's shadow suddenly fills her mind. Her boyfriend asks tentatively what she is thinking, asking if she is actually considering that useless loser. "No way," Sarah replies, shaking her head firmly and insisting that he is the only one she loves. How could she ever remarry Mark anyway? But Tommy is terrible at massages, quickly making her shoulders ache even worse. She waves him off, telling him to go rest before heading back to the master bedroom alone. The next morning, Sarah and Tommy drive to Manhwa Group. Ever since Mark announced that $30 billion investment plan, they wanted a slice of the cake. Chloe eyes them both in total shock. Chloe asks what she is doing here, so Sarah pulls her aside to whisper if Mr. York is in. Understanding her friend's true goal, Chloe wants to help her bestie, but she looks incredibly stressed. "He is in his office," she says, "but you are too late because he has a VIP in there." Instantly alarmed, Sarah demands to know who it is, and Chloe whispers it is the boss of Binfin Group from South Riverdale. Sarah starts panicking instantly, knowing exactly how powerful Binfin Group really is. If their boss came in person, what chance does she stand? Desperate, she looks at Chloe, begging for help. Begging for backup, Sarah asks Chloe to help her secure a project, but Chloe only smiles bitterly. "You expect too much from a simple assistant," Chloe sighs, explaining she has zero authority over projects. Refusing to back down, Sarah asks if there is any other way, leaving Chloe biting her lip in complete helplessness. Since Mr. York is inside, Chloe suggests talking to him directly, and Sarah decides not to pressure her friend further. Waiting in the reception room with Tommy, they soon see the big Binfin Group boss walk out. Look at that massive smile on his face. Sarah's heart completely sinks. Did he just secure your investment already? With a joyful look like that, he definitely got what he wanted from your office. She wanted to say hello, but the billionaire walks right past without even acknowledging her existence. The status gap is just too massive. Chloe steps back inside, telling Sarah that she can go in now. Taking a deep breath, Sarah leads Tommy straight into Martin's office. Right then, you are sitting on the sofa, looking at her with total indifference. You calmly ask if she needs something. Sarah quickly humbles herself, pleading for you to drop the formal title and just call her Sarah, but your cold expression remains absolutely unchanged. Telling her to skip the modesty, you order her to get straight to the point of her visit. After hesitating a moment, Sarah states her purpose, asking if you could invest in the Lee Group. She only needs $1 billion, which makes you smile, asking her what she could possibly offer you in return. Sarah quickly promises that the Lee Group will pay yearly dividends, but you instantly raise a hand to cut her off. With a mock smile, you ask if she really expects a $1 billion investment just for some measly dividends. Frowning, Sarah asks what you actually want, and your eyes slowly scan her body from head to toe. To get something, she must pay a price, you tell her, pointing out that a smart woman should understand this. Pay attention to this move. Sarah instantly catches your drift, thinking to herself that all men are exactly the same. She knows Martin wants her body, but that $30 billion pool is too tempting to ignore. After thinking for a moment, she grits her teeth and tells you that she finally understands your meaning. If you invest in her family, she promises to make you satisfied, which earns a very pleased nod from you. Calling her a true businesswoman, you turn your gaze to Tommy, who is standing right behind her. You politely ask the gentleman to step outside for a moment, which immediately sends Tommy into a full panic. Tommy demands what you are doing, but you just smirk playfully. Collaborating requires a deep heart-to-heart to understand one another. You smirk, and Tommy is definitely no idiot. He easily catches the dirty implication in your words and quickly turns his eyes to Sarah. Tommy frantically warns her that you are up to no good, begging her to refuse, but Sarah coldly orders him to get out. "I need to discuss some urgent business with young Master York, so you'd better leave this room right now." How could she not know exactly what you wanted? It was a simple trade. One pays, the other accepts. Tommy secretly clenches his fists in sheer rage. He snorts coldly, turns, and storms out. Now that it is just the two of you left alone in the quiet office, Sarah takes a shaky, deep breath. She closes her eyes and begins removing her clothes. "Young Master York," she whispers, "there are no outsiders here now. Do whatever you want." You wait until she has stripped all the way down to her undergarments before teasingly asking what Miss Lee is doing. You only wanted her to stay behind to talk. Are you really in that much of a rush to make something happen with me? Hearing this, Sarah snaps her eyes wide open. She looks at you in absolute disbelief. You specifically told her to stay behind, was it not for that kind of thing? You just let out a cold laugh. It seems Miss Lee got the wrong idea. With your status, you can get any woman you want. Leaving the rest unsaid, she gets the brutal point. To your eyes, she is just an easily obtained commodity. Feeling completely humiliated, Sarah can only put her clothes back on in silent, bitter disappointment. But look at what you pull out next. You just smile and point directly at the maid outfit resting on your table. See those clothes? You tell her they were chosen just for her. Looking at it, Sarah's pale face completely drops. She has to wear. As for that investment you just brought up, forget it. Take care, Miss Lee. Sarah grinds her teeth. Fine. She'll wear it. To protect the Lee family, she has to compromise. She puts on the maid outfit right before your eyes, asking if you're satisfied. You just shake your head. You wave your hand. Kneel and crawl over here like a dog. Sarah grinds her teeth so hard they almost shatter, but she still kneels down. You smile coldly, mocking her for being such a very obedient dog. Right now, Sarah is kneeling directly in front of you, her eyes burning with pure, bitter humiliation. She asks if you have any other orders. Without saying a single word, you pull a leather whip out of your drawer and step forward. You can actually feel her sheer panic as she realizes what's coming and frantically shakes her head. No, she begs, but soon, shameful sounds of pain fill the room as you rub your wrist with absolute satisfaction. Miss Lee indeed is quite the tough character. By now, she's completely numb. She never imagined Martin York would humiliate her like this, but since it's already done, she only cares about getting her massive payout. Hoping you'll keep your word, she looks up. You just nod. 1 billion is absolutely nothing to you. You won't double-cross her. Outside, a highly anxious Tommy is waiting for her. Tommy rushes up to ask if she's fine, but Sarah just silently shakes her head. She claims he did nothing to her, but those torn stockings trigger a very bad premonition. Having spent a full half-hour in that closed room, even a complete idiot could easily guess what happened. While standing outside, he'd faintly heard some deeply unsettling, shameful noises. He was just hearing things. Or so he hoped. Seeing his deep frown, Sarah realizes what he's thinking and panics, quickly insisting that things really aren't what they look like. Only now does she finally understand why Martin forced her to make those sounds and why he tore her stockings to shreds. So he had this whole thing planned out, but by now, Tommy was already absolutely seething with pure rage. The woman he marked as his, whom he hadn't even touched yet, had been handled by another man. That humiliation completely stripped away whatever sanity he had left. He burst right into your office, swinging wild punches, but you did not even flinch. As soon as he closed the distance, you sent a brutal flying kick directly into his chest, launching him across the room. You just smiled down at him, young Master Tommy. Did you misunderstand something? Miss Lee and I did not do a single thing, but honestly, even if we did, what does that have to do with you? Tommy gritted his teeth, snarling out that she was his woman now, so how could it not matter to him? Hearing that, you calmly turned your eyes to Sarah. Mrs. Lee, is that true? Are you two actually married already? Or did you two secretly hook up a long time ago? Sarah panicked, desperately yelling that it was completely impossible. Even though she liked Tommy, she still had a line she would not cross. During your marriage, she kept her distance. You looked back at Tommy, acting helpless. Young Master Tommy, you heard her. Miss Lee said she has nothing to do with you. Besides, even if you were together, so what? Miss Lee and I are consenting adults. What business is it of yours? Tommy barks in utter shock. No way. Sarah, he is lying, right? How could you ever agree to this? Sarah just shakes her head. He really didn't force me. I did it entirely of my own free will. Hearing that, Tommy just freezes. So you actually slept with him? Hearing him twist her words like that, Sarah swings a hard slap right across Tommy's face. Am I really that cheap of a person? Tommy looks down, holding his slapped cheek with pure venom in his eyes, but he quickly tries to smooth it over. Sarah, I didn't mean it that way. But Sarah completely ignores his excuses, spinning around and storming off without a single backward glance. She's completely done with him now. Realizing she actually divorced Mark for a trash bag like Tommy, the regret starts hitting her pretty hard. Watching her walk away down the hall, a nasty look crosses Tommy's face. Martin York, You actually dared to touch my woman. He threatens to kill you unless you invest. Honestly, you're quite amused. Check this out, his confidence is about to shatter. So that's your real goal. I guess I underestimated you. Tommy drops his act completely. Exactly. That's exactly why I'm here. You messed with my woman, so now you owe me. You just look down at him with pure disgust. And if I say no? Tommy screams in a wild rage, then I'll kill you. Just you? You let out a cold laugh. You simply wave your hand, signaling your personal security team. Have a little fun with him. No holding back. Hearing your command, the massive guards close in. Suddenly, Tommy's tough guy act completely evaporates. He screams out, "You dirty coward. If you're a real man, fight me one-on-one." You just glance at him with absolute pity. What century are you living in? Who still fights one-on-one? Instantly, your guards launch a relentless assault, raining heavy blows down on the guy. There's no way a weakling like Tommy can handle this. Within seconds, he is completely flattened. Tommy curls up on the floor, desperately trying to block the relentless beating. Gritting his teeth, he screams, "Martin York, you'll regret treating me like this. Just you wait. I'll make you pay." But you just walk over quite calmly, grab him by his hair, and drag him up to his feet. Watch closely, this is what actual humiliation looks like. Saying that, you drag him right into the restroom. Then, with a brutal kick, you shove his face straight down into the toilet bowl. After letting him soak, you kick him across the floor. You casually wash your hands and look back at your men. Go find a decent doctor to check on him. I'll cover all the expenses. Make sure you get the single best physician in Shanghai City to patch him up. You turn back to face the broken man. "Hey, Tommy, if my memory serves me right, your overseas firm is basically bankrupt, isn't it?" Hearing that, Tommy freezes up, utterly shocked to his core. How on earth do you know that? He hadn't told a soul. How could Martin York have this information? You let out a cold smirk. "If I want to find out, nothing stays hidden from me." Tommy panics, asking what else you've uncovered. Looking him dead in the eye, you reveal his marriage. Right now, cold sweat pours down Tommy's face. He is completely terrified. If you ever leak this secret to Sarah, his entire life is over. Seeing him tremble just makes this whole thing boring. Honestly, I couldn't care less about your stupid drama. I don't gossip behind backs. Hearing this, Tommy finally breathes a sigh of relief. But he is no fool. No free lunches exist here. He frowns. "Cut the act. What do you want?" You smirk. "You just need some cash. And cash is the one thing I have way too much of. Do you get my drift?" Tommy goes completely stiff. "Wait, are you actually offering to save me?" "Well, that depends on how well you behave." You chuckle softly. Desperate hope floods his eyes. "What do you want?" "Your demand is quite simple. Get Sarah to come over and beg me herself, and I'll hand over this much." You hold up 5 fingers. Tommy gasps out, 500 million? You shake your head. 500 million is pocket change to a guy like me. I'll give you 5 billion. Talk about a mind-blowing offer. Tommy's eyes pop out. 5 billion? Are we both losing our minds? 5 billion is a massive sum anywhere in the country, let alone here in Shanghai. You just sigh. Believe it or not, you wave your hand to drag him out. Watching this wild scene play out, Chloe finally steps up and asks a question. "Mr. York, are you actually going to dump that fortune on him?" Looking at the stunning girl beside you, you burst into laughter. "Do you honestly think I'm that stupid? I'm just playing with a little puppy." Hearing your answer, Chloe just pouts cutely. You shake your head, calling Martin York incredibly wicked for basically scamming people. Martin replies that he never even treated him as a human, so how could it be a scam? By noon, Tommy finally stumbles back to Sarah's villa looking like an absolute, pathetic wreck, which immediately gives her a completely massive, heart-stopping fright. She rushes over, desperately asking what on earth happened to him, which finally snaps Tommy right back to reality after his utterly horrific morning. Remembering his awful morning in Martin's office, he grits his teeth, calling Martin York an absolute bastard. He complains that Martin had a group of thugs beat him up and even shove his head into a dirty toilet, leaving Sarah completely stunned. She cannot comprehend why Martin would do this, since they only met twice at the airport and auction. A few minor misunderstandings should not warrant this level of bitter, extreme revenge. Tommy glares at her, coldly saying that this is actually all her fault, making Sarah's heart skip a beat. She asks if it's because of her, while Tommy spins absolute lies. He claims he kept offending Martin just to protect her, arguing that there is no other logical reason for such massive, bitter and intense hostility. Sarah falls completely silent because, honestly, this whole mess started because Martin and Mark look so incredibly alike. She feels responsible for Tommy offending Martin, while Tommy secretly celebrates her overwhelming guilt. He quickly begs her to save him, and since she already blames herself for his intense pain, she readily agrees to do whatever it takes. She nods quickly, asking how she can help. Watch Tommy smirk internally, his toxic trap is actually working. He quickly tells her to go beg Martin on her knees, claiming that as long as she pleads with him, Martin will absolutely help them out. Sarah stares at him in absolute shock, asking why on earth Martin York wants her to beg. Tommy sneers internally, thinking she has already been played by Martin, who probably just wants her as a regular, bedtime toy to play with. Sarah notices his dark expression and realizes Tommy is still completely misunderstanding her relationship with Martin. She helplessly explains that it is really not about her refusing to help him. She just physically cannot do it, especially after remembering that humiliating scene back in Martin's office. She never wants to step foot in that place again, and hearing this instantly turns Tommy's once hopeful face into a totally twisted, ugly scowl. He demands to know why she won't grant him this one incredibly tiny favor. He accuses her of actively ruining his life, leaving Sarah totally confused about how she is supposedly destroying him. Knowing it is finally time for his absolute trump card, Tommy lowers his head and acts like he is deeply, deeply troubled by everything. He confesses he cannot hide it anymore, admitting his overseas company is in massive trouble. He claims he just needs some cash to survive the crisis, making Sarah feel heavily burdened, though she still asks how much he needs. She offers a loan, but Tommy just shakes his head, mocking her small limits. He loudly declares he needs $5 billion right now, making Sarah question her own ears and ask if he has completely lost his mind. The entire Lee Group is not even worth $10 billion, yet Tommy is casually asking her for a whopping $5 billion. She does not have that cash, and even if she did, she would never ruin her family business to save him. Tommy suddenly lunges forward, grabbing her hands and desperately begging for her help. He demands she prove her love right now, leaving poor, desperate Sarah looking totally helpless. She insists she loves him but has no way to summon $5 billion, but Tommy snaps back that Martin York has it. Tommy claims that begging Martin will secure that $5 billion, so she just needs to swallow her pride to easily get the money and save him. Sarah smiles bitterly, asking if he is stupid, because no rich person throws around $5 billion just like that. She warns him Martin is lying and will never invest, driving him to panic. He drops straight to his knees in front of her, begging her to swallow her pride and just do this one single thing for his sake. He pleads with her to beg him again, casually adding that since she already slept with Martin once, a second time will not hurt. He claims he won't mind, completely enraging Sarah, who slaps his face hard. She cannot believe this is her first love and white knight, actually telling her to go and sleep with Martin for some cash. Even after Tommy abandoned her in the past, she still chose to forgive him. But she never expected this toxic version of Tommy to literally sell her out to another man for personal gain, completely shattering her entire world in an instant. Tommy holds his slapped cheek, glaring at Sarah and asking if she did not already sleep with the guy anyway. He scoffs that doing it again changes nothing, crudely stating that she is not going to lose a piece of meat. He casually says he does not mind, but Sarah snaps, telling him to shut up while shaking with absolute rage. She swears absolutely nothing happened, but Tommy can only think of her torn stockings and those terrifying office screams. To him, her innocence is a flat-out lie. Thinking about the state she was in, he lets out a disdainful laugh. "Oh, give me a break. You were literally moaning in Martin's office earlier. Do you think I'm blind?" Hearing this, Sarah's vision goes completely dark from pure, unadulterated fury. Gripping the sofa to keep from falling, she stares at Tommy with total disappointment, asking if she really has no morals to him. Tommy hangs his head, seriously telling her that her sleeping with Martin might not even be a bad thing. As long as they get what they want, he does not care if she sleeps with Martin a few more times. Sarah lets out a bitter laugh, tears filling her eyes. She realizes she was a total fool, completely blind to divorce Mark for a monster like him. And just like that, the gaslighting begins as Tommy stares back in sheer disbelief, demanding to know what she means. Is she really going to watch him die? He questions her love, asking if this is how she treats someone she cares about. He complains she cannot handle one simple request. Absolutely furious, Sarah snaps back, confirming she will gladly watch him ruin his own life. Furious, Tommy drops the act entirely, pointing a finger and cursing her out. He tells her to stop playing the saint since she already slept with Martin, calling her a cheap sellout trading her body for cash. Calling himself the blind one, those words push Sarah straight into an absolute, towering rage. She screams at Tommy to get the hell out of her house immediately, never wanting to see his disgusting face again. He lived off her money and ate her food, only to turn around and insult her. What an absolute, ungrateful leech. Sarah throws him out along with his bags. But the second he steps outside the villa gates, regret hits him hard. Real talk, Sarah is the only one who can save him. If he ruins this relationship, he is completely done for. Panicking, he grabs his phone and shoots her a desperate text, begging for her forgiveness. He says he never should have lashed out, blaming his anxiety while promising he still truly loves her. Playing the victim, he claims he was just terrified of her parents looking down on him, wanting to be successful first. So he took a stupid risk, borrowing massive amounts of cash from loan sharks who will literally end him if he cannot pay. Reading this, the hopeless romantic in Sarah completely takes over. She starts believing all his mistakes were somehow her fault. Reminiscing about their sweet past together, her anger fades and her heart begins to soften all over again. She quickly texts back, calling him honey and explaining that this whole situation is way more complicated than he realizes. Tommy feels a massive wave of relief. He plays hard to get, texting back that she should not worry if it is too hard. He insists this is his mess alone, completely unrelated to her. Insisting he never should have dragged her into this mess, he declares he will face the loan sharks alone, with zero regrets. Hearing this melodramatic speech, Sarah breaks. She tells him not to worry because she never said she would refuse to help. She asks for a little more time, promising to do absolutely everything she can to figure out a solution. Even though she cannot guarantee success, look how smug this guy gets. His toxic manipulation worked like a charm. Keeping up the fake humble act, he texts back that just knowing she cares is more than enough. He sighs that it is just his terrible fate. Sarah's heart absolutely aches, and she begs him not to talk like that. She insists she does not believe in fate, promising to find a way or figure out some other crazy alternative. He replies that she is amazing, calling her the absolute best thing to ever happen to him. With the text sent, Tommy's fake remorse vanishes. He smirks, immediately turning around to party it up at a nearby nightclub. Meanwhile, Sarah is stuck. She needs to contact Martin York as soon as possible, but she does not even have his number. Left with no choice, she calls up her bestie Chloe, asking if she can treat her boss to dinner. Can you pass the invite along to him? Hearing this, Chloe warns her that Mr. York does not do favors for free, but promises to ask him anyway. Chloe heads straight into your office to deliver Sarah's message, fully expecting you to ignore it, but to her complete surprise, you actually agree without hesitating. She stares at you in complete shock, silently asking why. Seeing her face, you chuckle and tell her to stop staring, since getting a free dinner is perfectly normal. Still, Chloe points out you have turned down every other invitation, so why change your mind the second Sarah asks? Chloe voices the biggest doubt in her heart. You just smile and nod naturally, you have your own plans. Tell her I will notify her of the dinner details later. Chloe nods in agreement. She will go inform Sarah immediately. Whatever the reason, the boss agreeing to the dinner was massive. For Sarah, this was absolutely incredible news. Finally, she could give her best friend an answer. As she heads for the door, you smirk and add a twist, make sure to invite Victoria too. Chloe has no idea what you are plotting, but she nods and walks out. Now watch this, just as you plan to make this dinner more chaotic, your phone suddenly rings. Seeing Mia's name on the screen, you answer with some doubt. What is wrong, Mia? Her frantic voice blares through the speaker, begging you to hurry up and save her. Right now, Sarah's younger sister Mia is completely surrounded by a hostile crowd at the University Plaza. Stomping her foot in pure anger, she screams at the guy blocking her path. Mike Shen, are you totally insane? She makes it clear she does not like him at all, but Mike Shen is quickly losing his temper. Mia, my patience is pretty limited, do not push your luck. Having me like you is a massive blessing, so stop being so ungrateful. Clenching her fists, Mia warns him one last time, Mike Shen, I do not like you, period. No matter how much you follow me around, it is useless. Besides, my boyfriend is going to arrive any second. If you do not want him to beat you to a pulp, get out of my way. Hearing this, Mike is totally stunned. What did you just say? A boyfriend? How did he not know about this? Who is he? Mia dismisses him instantly, saying it is none of his business. It has but Mike does not take her threat seriously at all. After all, he is a direct descendant of the powerful Shen family. Plus, his older brother, Zach, is the designated future heir of the entire clan. Riding on his brother's massive reputation, he has spent years acting like a total tyrant, never fearing a single soul. Right as he reaches out to drag Mia away by force, a calm, apologetic voice suddenly echoes, Sorry, I am late. Seeing you arrive, Mia beams with joy and instantly wraps both arms tightly around yours, cheering that her brother-in-law is finally here to save her. Mike glares at you, demanding to know if you are Mia's boyfriend. Hearing this, you are left completely and utterly confused. Since when did you become her boyfriend? But seeing Mia winking at you like crazy, you realize exactly what is happening here. This little girl is seriously amazing at making brand new enemies for you. Seeing the close contact, Mike thinks you are showing off. Instantly, pure jealousy fries his brain, and he roars at Mia. He yells that he does not care who the boyfriend is, because unless she dates him today, nobody is leaving this spot. Furious, Mia curses him out. Mike Shen, you absolute bastard, are you completely insane? He is my boyfriend, so why are you still harassing me? But Mike is way too arrogant to let her walk away, just because of some random guy. He sneers, accusing Mia of finding a random scrub to cover for her, and claims he will never let her go that easily. He vows to take her away today even if the King of Heaven tries to stop him, terrifying Mia with his vicious look. Gripping your arm even tighter, she whispers with genuine worry, brother-in-law, maybe you should just get out of here first. Mike Shen is a total maniac and might do something crazy. You just smile and gently pat her shoulder. Do not worry, you say, because as long as I am here, nobody can ever hurt you. Mike laughs arrogantly, asking if you are coming to kneel and beg for mercy, before declaring that it is already far too late. Oh, you are going to love this. Before he can finish his threat, your sudden punch sends Mike flying backward through the air. His arrogant rant cuts short as he stands completely stupefied by the heavy impact. In his entire life, aside from his powerful older brother, absolutely nobody had ever dared to strike him like this. Snapping back to reality, he becomes absolutely furious, screaming at his lackeys that you are dead for daring to hit him. He shrieks at them to stop standing around and beat you to death, promising to take full responsibility for whatever happens. But before those lackeys can even take a single step forward, you dash straight ahead like a lightning-fast arrow. You grab Mike directly by the throat and lift him clean off the ground, asking if he wants to die right now. A cold, terrifying fear of death instantly spreads through his body. He has absolutely zero experience dealing with actual danger. Breaking out in a cold sweat, he struggles weakly, demanding to know how you actually dare to treat him like this. He warns that you are going to pay, begging you to hurry up and let him go, but you only laugh coldly. Anyone who wants me dead usually ends up in a pretty miserable spot. You won't be the exception. Right after saying those words, you tighten the grip of your hand around his neck, making Mike completely panic as he starts to suffocate. Terrified, he gasps out that his brother Zach Shen will hunt you down. He is the future heir of the mighty Shen family. Let me go right now, and I will pretend none of this ever happened. Drop me now. Zach is his brother? This is a surprise, though not totally shocking. Running wild in South Riverdale with that surname, you already had a pretty good idea about his family background. You definitely knew he belonged to the Shens, but you never expected him to be Zach's literal younger brother. Back at the auction, Zach actually tried to get on your good side. Who knew his little brother would be this insufferably arrogant? Mulling this over, you suddenly let him go. But check this out, you aren't backing down out of fear, but because a much better plan just crossed your mind, while Mike keeps gasping for air. A smug sneer creeps up. Scared now? You just flash a cold, indifferent smile. Since Zach is his brother, this is incredibly easy to handle. Call your brother immediately. Tell him to get over here right now. Mike honestly thinks you are insane. He just dropped his big brother's name, and you actually expect him to show up? Is this kid's brain completely broken? You glare impatiently. Are you going to make the call or not? Refusing to back down, Mike pulls out his phone and dials his big brother, Zach. He sneers while dialing, telling you that since you are begging to die, he will gladly help you out. Soon, Zach's annoyed voice answers. Zach snaps, asking what it is this time. His useless little brother never does any real work, only constantly causing major trouble. The older brother is clearly fed up. Mike quickly cries out, "Big bro, some guy is brutally beating me up at school. He almost killed me." Hearing this, Zach roars in absolute fury, "You idiot. Didn't you tell him who your brother is?" Mike gets even more frantic, crying that he did, but the guy arrogantly ordered him to call, demanding Zach come apologize in person. Exaggerating the story to add fuel to the fire, Mike listens as Zach tells him to hold you there. He is coming immediately. After all, the powerful Shen family is not a clan that just anyone can step on. Hanging up, Mike glares at you with a smug, disgusting grin. "Kid, you just wait. My brother is arriving any second." He boasts that you are about to pay the ultimate price. Frowning, you raise your fist and smash it straight into his nose. "Why do you talk so much trash? Haven't you had enough?" Suddenly, Mike is way too terrified to act tough anymore. He just rolls on the floor, howling in agony. A few minutes later, Zach storms into the area, completely livid. Zach yells, demanding to know who dared to lay a hand on his brother. You slowly turn around and coldly say, "I did." Both of them lock eyes, but the very second Zach recognizes your face, his entire expression completely freezes, and all his rage vanishes. It is instantly replaced by a look of total, trembling submission as he stammers out, "Young Master York?" Mike misses this entirely. He runs over, pointing directly at you and yelling, "It is this bastard right here." But then bam, Mike is sent flying. Only this time, the one who struck him is his own brother. And trust me, Zack is still absolutely boiling with rage. He lunges forward, grabs Mike by the collar, and delivers a brutal slap right across his face, screaming at him to shut up. Zack threatens to have his tongue ripped out if he says another word. Mike is totally stupefied, having never seen his brother this furious. Terrified out of his mind, he instantly clamps his mouth shut, not daring to utter another single peep. Zack takes a deep breath and nervously approaches you, stammering, "Young Master York, is there perhaps some kind of misunderstanding here?" He knows all too well that if this situation is not handled perfectly, their entire family is going to be utterly ruined. The York family of the capital is an absolute, terrifying behemoth. They would not even have to lift a finger to swallow the entire Shen family whole. Endless rivals would gladly destroy them just to curry favor with the Yorks. Maintaining a poker face, you tell him to ask his brother. Zack whips his head around, glaring viciously at Mike, demanding he speak and tell him exactly what happened. Mike is not completely brainless. Seeing his proud brother acting so incredibly subservient, he realizes he has caused a catastrophic disaster. He is so paralyzed with fear that he cannot speak, cold sweat pouring down his face. Seeing this reaction and noticing the beautiful woman standing right next to Martin York, Zack instantly pieces everything together. He is absolutely furious, knowing his brother all too well, useless, lazy, and constantly causing trouble. Because Zack was always too busy running the massive family business, he usually just turned a blind eye. He never imagined his idiot brother would bring home such a catastrophic disaster. Realizing the stakes, he didn't hesitate to land another heavy slap right across Mike's face, barking at him to get down and beg young Master York for forgiveness. He yelled that if young Master York wasn't happy, Mike would stay on his knees forever. Hearing this, Mike froze in absolute shock. He stared at Zack in pure disbelief, wondering if he had heard right. He had called his big brother for backup, not a death sentence, but instead of helping, his own blood wanted him ruined. Zack didn't waste any breath, he just delivered another brutal slap to Mike's cheek. Zack growled at him to apologize to young Master York right now. With that blow, the harsh reality finally started to sink in for Mike. The mess he made today was simply too massive. Even his powerful older brother couldn't shield him from the fallout this time. Terrified, he scrambled straight over to you and dropped heavily to his knees without wasting another second. He begged young Master York for mercy, admitting it was all his fault and pleading with you not to lower yourself to his pathetic level. He started slamming his head against the floor, but you completely ignored him, turning your gaze over to Zack instead. You joked that his little brother acted more like a wealthy heir than Zack did. Zack could only offer a very awkward, tense smile. Zack quickly explained this was all his brother's doing, handing over a card with $10 million. He admitted it was the only card he had brought in his rush. He begged you to take it as a sincere peace offering from them. You casually nodded and slipped the card into your pocket. And hey, free money? Why on earth would you turn that down? Plus, you knew Zack wouldn't sleep a wink if you refused. Sure enough, seeing you accept it made Zack instantly relax. Honestly, $10 million was just pocket change to a guy like him. Settling a dispute with Mark York was worth every single penny. Zack then reached down and hauled the sobbing Mike back up to his feet. He promised not to disturb young Master York any further, offering a deep apology for the trouble today. With that, both brothers bowed deeply and scrambled out of there. Meanwhile, Mia had witnessed every single second of it. Her jaw was absolutely on the floor. She clapped her hands in pure excitement, praising her brother-in-law for being so incredibly cool. You gave her a helpless look, teasing her for causing trouble before asking if she was hurt. Mia just grinned and shook her head. She insisted she was perfectly fine, her eyes absolutely beaming with pure admiration for you. Just then, her classmates finally worked up the courage to walk over. They asked Mia who you were, so she proudly introduced you as her brother-in-law. She casually added that you recently divorced her sister, which immediately made her classmates' eyes light up as they asked if you were single. Sensing danger from her friends, Mia stepped forward and locked her arm tightly around yours. She warned them that she knew exactly what they were planning, telling them to back off because you were her boyfriend now. You stared at her, totally speechless, telling Mia to stop playing around since you definitely were not her boyfriend. It was bad enough when she made up these crazy stories at home, but doing it in public was taking things way too far. Mia proudly fired back that it was bound to happen sooner or later anyway, leaving you to just shake your head in defeat. You handed the black card over to her, telling her to take it but warning her not to go crazy spending it all. Mia grabbed it happily, thanking you and cheering that you always treated her the best. Then she suddenly remembered something. Pointing out that it was nearly lunchtime, she offered to treat you to a meal. But you politely declined, mentioning you had other plans. But Mia had no intention of letting you escape so easily. She immediately clung to your arm, holding on tight. She demanded that you eat with her, or she would get incredibly mad. Feeling her press so closely against your arm made you incredibly flustered. You begged her to let go before other people started staring, but Mia simply refused to loosen her grip even a single inch. She threatened to hold on forever unless you agreed to the lunch date. You sighed in defeat, finally giving in to her demands. Mia finally released your arm with a thoroughly satisfied grin on her face, letting out a soft, victorious giggle. She cheered about how wonderful her brother-in-law was, while you reluctantly added that she had to agree to one strict condition first. You told her not to mention today's events to her sister yet. Mia nodded with a smug look, telling you not to worry. She declared her sister was now her love rival. Besides, her sister deserved to be left in the dark for always looking down on you. She wanted her sister to slowly drown in regret, actually looking forward to the dramatic reveal. She couldn't wait to see her sister turn completely green with envy once your true, powerful identity was finally exposed. You just playfully pinched her cheek. You admitted defeat, realizing there was simply no stopping her. Triumphantly, Mia dragged you over to a nice restaurant right near her university. She boldly ordered a special couples combo meal. Feeling too exhausted to even argue with her antics, you just looked out the window. But just as you were halfway through eating, guess who walked right in? Sarah and Tommy. And Sarah looked absolutely furious. She glared down at her younger sister, demanding to know why she was hanging out with you. Mia just pouted, asking why she couldn't hang out with her brother-in-law if Sarah was with Tommy. Sarah snapped back that it wasn't the same. You are still a student. Focus on school. Plus, he is your brother-in-law. But Mia shows zero fear. He stopped being family ages ago. She snaps you two divorced back then, didn't you? Sarah's anger flared with every word. Divorced or not, he is still your brother-in-law. There are so many men out there, why him? Hearing this, Mia fires back without holding anything inside. He is absolutely amazing, so why wouldn't I choose him? You think everyone acts like you? Dumping your husband for a guy who abandoned you? This hit a massive raw nerve with Sarah. She swings a wild slap right at Mia. Laughing coldly with eyes full of utter disgust, you reach out and snatch her wrist midair. Enough, Sarah. She turns red. Mark, I am disciplining my sister. What does this have to do with you? You scoff, she is your sister, not your puppet. If she still calls me her brother-in-law, I will protect her. Sarah practically explodes with fury at your words. Oh, you can already feel the toxic drama boiling over. Sarah sneers that this must have been your cheap plan all along. You just cannot bear to leave our wealthy Lee family, can you? You just have to crawl back to us? Her ridiculous words actually make you laugh. Sucking up to your family? Sarah, do you hear how insane you sound? Sarah claims confidently that she knows exactly what you are doing. If you are not desperate, why target my sister like this? Suddenly, Mia stands. This has absolutely nothing to do with him. I called him here to help me. And listen, Sarah. I am not a kid anymore. I am an adult. Who you sleep with is none of my business. So who I date is absolutely none of yours, either. Stunned that Mia won't even call her sister, Sarah glares at you. Mark, I really underestimated you. You are only pestering us because you want a payout, right? Name your price. You shake your head in absolute disgust. Do you honestly think money fixes everything? Sarah clenches her fists in pure rage. Mark, do not push me. Remember, we were once married. You just chuckle, completely unfazed by her threats. It seems Miss Lee wants revenge. Honestly, I am actually looking forward to seeing what you try. Finding no way to threaten you, Sarah literally shakes with rage. I will never allow you two to be together. Keep dreaming. Mia steps right up, grabbing your hand and looking at Sarah with absolute disdain. You have it all wrong. I am the one chasing him. Get it through your head. I do not care what you think. He is definitely mine. She drags you out of the restaurant, while Tommy, who spent the whole time enjoying the show, quickly steps up. Do not be so mad, Sarah. Your sister is just young and naive right now. Once she grows up, she will realize you were only trying to protect her. Sarah scowls at the door. Her sister might be naive, but what about Mark? Is he clueless too? Outside the restaurant, Mia is still absolutely fuming. What a nightmare. Our great lunch was totally ruined. You cannot help but feel slightly amused. Okay, cool down. It is getting pretty late, so get back to campus. Mia looks at you, clearly pouting. Fine, but you have to promise to visit me at school all the time, okay? You silently nod. You smile, just nodding and waving for her to head inside. Back inside, Sarah cannot even enjoy her food because Tommy keeps pressuring her to beg Martin York. It is all for his precious overseas company, of course. Having no choice, Sarah reluctantly agrees. Now, they just have to wait for Martin to call. Finally, on the fourth day, her friend Chloe calls with major news. Mr. York agreed to meet for dinner. Chloe sends over the address, telling her to rush. Sarah is absolutely ecstatic at the breakthrough. Everything depends on this single meeting. It is for her family, and especially for her beloved Tommy. Can you believe what she sees next? Entering the private room, Sarah is completely stunned by who is inside. Sitting right next to Martin York is none other than Victoria, the exact business partner who had worked with you before. Sarah stammers awkwardly that she might have chosen a bad time, but you just wave her in, smiling. You came at the perfect time, you say. Hearing this, Sarah forces a fake smile and steps inside. She thought she was having a private dinner. She never expected Martin would invite other guests along. Feeling like an absolute clown standing awkwardly on the side, she waits until you gesture for her to sit. Victoria flashes a bright smile, telling Sarah there is no need to be so stiff, since she is the host today. Victoria gets a quick thank you too. She mentioned she wanted to treat young Master York herself, but since Sarah insisted on paying, she will not fight her for the bill. Sarah can only nod along awkwardly. Claiming it is the least she can do, Victoria turns back to you, asking where you two left off before remembering the topic. She recalls your plan to spend $10 billion building a massive commercial zone in the East District, and you simply nod. It is exactly what you are planning, and she knows you are serious. After all, you paid a massive price to secure that prime East District land. Victoria keeps going, telling you she thinks your business idea is absolutely brilliant. She suggests handing the entire massive project over to her Yan family to manage. While she is modest, she boasts that her family commands a pretty huge amount of respect in Zhenghai City. If you let them handle it, she promises you will not have to worry about a single thing. You nod, agreeing that you trust her family with the project. Sarah completely freezes. Did Martin really just hand over a $10 billion project to Victoria like it was absolutely nothing? Honestly, who just hands over $10 billion like this on a whim? Panicking, Sarah quickly chimes in, stating that her own Lee family can easily help too. She argues that handling a $10 billion development is no issue for them at all, and even after subtracting labor and material costs, the profits would still be absolutely massive. This profit is why she is so anxious, but you ignore her completely, continuing to casually eat your dinner. Watching you remain totally unaffected by Sarah, Victoria cannot help but smirk a little bit. Offering a toast, she pours you a drink while leaning in so close she is practically pressed against your side. Sarah sees this and fumes. She looks ready to explode with absolute rage. Victoria is using a textbook honey trap, and remembering her own past mistakes, Sarah starts panicking. She has no idea if you will cave to Victoria, especially since Victoria is just as stunningly gorgeous as she is. Just in that incredibly tense silence, you suddenly look up from your food and casually ask Sarah exactly why she invited you to dinner today. Seizing her chance, Sarah quickly explains that she really only wanted to treat you today to express her deepest, most sincere gratitude to you. Expressing her gratitude, she thanks you for investing in her family. Giving a cold smile, you tell her that $1 billion is literally pocket change to you, basically a giveaway. No need for thanks. You ask if she has any other business. Sarah looks down in shame, hesitating before lying that there is nothing else. In reality, she desperately wants to beg you for Tommy. But with Victoria sitting right there, she cannot bring herself to say it. You just smile and nod. You tell her to go ahead and pay the bill first, as you and Miss Yan have some private matters to discuss. Getting kicked out like this makes Sarah look incredibly miserable, making her wonder if Martin seriously only invited her to dinner just to foot the expensive bill. If Martin and Victoria are the ones doing business, why on earth is she the one paying? Victoria should be paying. Seeing her sour face, you innocently ask if she still has some business. We all know you already saw right through her desperate plan from the very start. Gritting her teeth, Sarah finally decides to speak up. She asks if it is true that you promised Tommy you would invest in him if she begged you. $5 billion is nothing to you, but it is life or death for him. Without this $5 billion, his company is doomed. Completely bankrupt. Keeping a completely blank expression, you tell her that was just casual talk. Why was she foolish enough to actually believe it? Besides, whether his business survives or goes under, that is not my problem. If she cares so much, why does she not give him $5 billion herself? Sarah is left completely speechless. Supposing she actually had $5 billion lying around, she would do it, but she simply does not have that kind of cash. The Lee Group is not hers. Where will she find $5 billion? You mockingly sneer at her. Does she really think she can secure $5 billion with just empty words? Does she take you for some kind of absolute fool? 5 billion is indeed nothing to you, but since you owe him absolutely nothing, why should you help? Sarah can only stay dead silent. She knows you are totally right, but regardless of the harsh facts, she still desperately wants to rescue Tommy one last time. Instead, she indignantly reminds you of your promise to invest 5 billion if she came and begged you for him. You just say, oh. Laughing, you admit you were naturally just joking around. How can you take nonsense like that seriously? If we are playing that game, I could say I want to buy the entire earth. Does that mean I actually have to go do it? You are just too exhausted to keep arguing with her. You turn to Victoria with a calm smile. Miss Yan, let's go. She gets the hint and starts the engine. Before driving off, she glances back at you and Sarah with a subtle, knowing smirk playing on her lips. You just look away and roll the window right back up. Invest in Tommy? Yeah, like that is ever going to happen. The more Sarah wants something, the less likely you are to help. After all, she dumped you for Tommy back then. Now she expects you to fund her lover? She must still think you are that same obedient Mark from the past. You can practically feel Sarah's desperation as she watches that car disappear. Honestly, she is completely out of moves. She grabs her phone and texts Tommy, sorry, I could not get it done. She stands there frozen for what feels like hours. And on the other end, Tommy gets the text and loses his mind. How could this fail? Right now, he wants to absolutely destroy Martin. But instead, he instantly blames Sarah for the mess. He thinks she did not even try. Why did she not just sleep with him to lock down the deal? What a joke. Meanwhile, inside the luxury ride, Victoria asks sheepishly young Master York, where to next? You stare out the window back to the office. Victoria gasps in shock, wait, shouldn't we be heading to a hotel? In her head, you throwing around $10 billion was obviously a play for her body. She was ready to offer herself to you, but you just give a calm smile. Did you really think I was interested in you? Victoria takes this moment to ask the burning question on her mind. Young Master York, I have to know, why did you hand such a massive project over to me? You laugh, I did not expect that from you. Honestly, it does not matter who gets this massive deal, I only care about the final results. But if I had to guess, you and the Yan family got this simply because I find you easy on the eyes. Victoria hesitates for a moment, young Master York. If I am correct, you and Sarah share some serious history, right? You find yourself a bit curious. What makes you think that? Victoria considers it. The way you look at her tells the whole story. You two clearly go way back, and things were incredibly close, right? Now, you are genuinely surprised. You stare at her with doubt. How did you work all that out? Victoria smirks. To be honest, Mr. York, my college major was psychology. You ask, then why can't this star student guess what I'm thinking right now? Realizing she overstepped, she panics and quickly shakes her head. Please do not tease me, young master. I could never read your mind. You study her for a long moment. Finally, you nod. You are incredibly sharp. Your guess is spot on. We definitely have a past. You have absolutely zero plans to hide your identity. After all, you cannot keep a secret like this forever. Eventually, everyone will know you are Mark. Whether the truth drops today or tomorrow makes no difference to you. We all knew Sarah was too blind to see it, but look at Victoria's face, she's absolutely losing her mind. If that is true, are you actually her ex-husband? Even though she suspected it, hearing you admit it still blows her away. You nod calmly, that is correct. I am her ex-husband, Mark. You did not expect her of all people to be the first to figure it out, but you are not worried. Victoria is highly intelligent. You know she is not the type to run her mouth and expose your secret. Since you are her ex, why do you not show her a little more mercy? As she asks, she already knows the truth. She has heard the messy rumors about what went down between you two. So seeing Sarah hit rock bottom now is not shocking at all. Seeing her face, you sigh, I did not know you were such a gossip. Victoria blushes, I am so sorry, master. I should not have pried. You shrug it off, it is fine. My feelings for her died years ago. It is as simple as that. Hearing this, Victoria smirks. Young Master York, if Sarah knew what you just said, she would probably drown in her own regret. Victoria is just feeling incredibly lucky right now. She is relieved she saw through Martin's real self early on, though she never imagined that the legendary Martin York was actually Mark. After all, the rumors always claimed Mark was just the Lee family's worthless, live-in loser. Back when Sarah first tied the knot, Victoria had actually attended her wedding. Who could have guessed that you, Mark, were actually the elite eldest young master of the capital's powerful York family? You shrugged, completely indifferent, let them turn green with regret. Everyone has to pay for their choices. Since she wanted to run off with her white knight so badly, you simply granted her wish. Victoria grinned exactly. Don't worry, young Master York. She promised to keep your secret safe, feeling quite happy inside. The fact that you shared this meant you actually trusted her a great deal. Otherwise, you never would have opened up. Forget everything else, this trust was absolutely worth its weight in gold. Meanwhile, Sarah made it back home, where Tommy had been waiting for what felt like ages. Even though he already knew the outcome, Tommy still found it quite hard to accept. Seeing his face, Sarah apologized. She tried her absolute best. Tommy forced a bitter smile and told her it was fine. It was not her fault since they were all completely fooled by him. Though he was extremely anxious, panicking now would not solve a single thing. The warning had already arrived. Ruthless debt collectors from overseas had already flown into the country. He just prayed those dangerous people would not track him down too fast. Zero mercy. And he had seriously underestimated their reach. And just like that, boom, the very next morning, they showed up right at Sarah's place. Tommy's jaw dropped as he panicked, asking how they even found him. He knew exactly how they operated. These guys were a highly notorious mafia crew from overseas. Countless victims had died at their hands, and if they caught him, he was looking at a fate far worse than death itself. The lead thug frowned, telling him that Mr. Tommy sure made them search quite hard for him. Tommy's face paled with pure terror as he begged Mr. Smith to just give him a little more time. He promised he would find a way to pay back the money. He thought escaping back to his home country would keep him safe, but escaping was never an option. The boss just sneered, asking Tommy what on earth he was talking about. They'd already given him plenty of time and reminded him that his wife and kid were still in their hands. Tommy pleaded for them not to be hurt. Smith just smiled, reassuring him they only wanted their money, not lives. As long as he paid up, his family would remain untouched. Tommy panicked, stammering that he simply did not have the cash right now. If he had the money, he would have settled the debt long ago. At that, Smith's voice turned ice cold. Playing games like that was only going to make things incredibly ugly. He reminded Tommy that he had promised to pay back double the loan. Absolute despair. He claimed all his money was tied up in his company. He really did not have it. Right now, Tommy had only one desperate play left in mind to stall. Buying time was his only hope since he still had Sarah to back him up. But these brutal debt collectors had absolutely zero intention of waiting. Smith apologized, telling Tommy that if that was his final answer, they would have to handle things strictly by the book. With a quick nod from Smith, his men began closing in on a trembling Tommy. He screamed for them to stop. He didn't have cash, but his girlfriend was loaded. He could get her to clear it. Smith looked surprised. Talk about worst timing ever. Right as they're talking, Sarah coincidentally walks through the door, demanding to know who they were and why they were inside. Sarah immediately tensed up at the sight of the heavy thugs. Tommy quickly pointed at Sarah, shouting that she was his girlfriend and had all the money they wanted. Hearing this, Sarah snapped fiercely, telling the intruders they were not welcome and must leave immediately. Desperate, he begged her to save him, explaining these dangerous men were here to collect a massive debt. If he could not pay them back, they would literally end his life. Sarah frowned deeply, asking how much he actually owed. Smith just smiled, saying it was not much, only slightly over 500 million. Sarah gasped, glaring at him. She ordered them to get out, promising she would find a way to help him clear this massive debt. 500 million was a massive sum, but she could manage. At worst, she could temporarily use the 1 billion that Martin had invested as a stopgap. No matter what, she could not let Tommy get hurt. Hearing that Sarah was willing to pay, Tommy let out a huge sigh of relief. But Smith simply chuckled, suggesting she might have seriously misunderstood the situation. The 500 million he mentioned was actually in US dollars, meaning it was roughly about 4 billion in local cash. Hearing that, Sarah's eyes widened in shock. 4 billion? Where was she supposed to find that kind of money? Sarah originally thought Tommy just owed over 500 million. She never expected this kind of debt. $4 billion. Unless she sells off the Lee Group, there is no way she can get that much cash. But Tommy quickly interrupts. No, Sarah, you have it. Did you forget? The entire Lee Group is worth over 4 billion. Hearing this, Sarah glares at the creep. Are you completely insane? You actually dare scheme against the Lee Group? That company is the very foundation of my family. No way is she selling her family legacy for his mistakes. Even if she tried, the company shareholders would never sign off on it. Tommy immediately tries to sweet-talk her. Sarah, you are the only one who can save me. Just help me survive this nightmare, and once I get back on my feet down the road, I will pay you back double. Sarah shakes her head firmly. No way, she is not an idiot. If he only owed over 500 million, she might have been found a way to save him, but he owes a staggering 4 billion. Where could she find that kind of cash? Tommy's face instantly turns incredibly ugly. Sarah, are you seriously just going to watch me die? She stares at him with nothing but pure disappointment. The truth hits hard. Now she finally knows why he rushed back home. The coward caused massive trouble overseas and just wanted a safe place to hide. Yet she foolishly thought he came back for her. Grimacing, Sarah tells him off. Fix your own mess. Go figure out how to clean it up. Stop pinning your garbage on me. Hearing this, the panicked Tommy suddenly lets out a creepy smile. Can you believe this guy? Sarah, since you want to play dirty, Boss Smith, you heard everything. I am broke, but she is loaded. Even if you end me, you will get nothing. But I can guarantee you get paid. Smith asks what he means. Tommy keeps grinning, telling the boss there is something he should know. This woman right here is the CEO of the massive Lee Group. Plus, she is the actual daughter of the chairman. Grab her, and you get every single penny of your money. Instantly, Smith catches on to the whole plan. Frowning, the boss asks if he is suggesting a kidnapping. Tommy calmly responds that it is the only way to get paid. He claims he is only doing this to help. Listening to this, Smith starts weighing his options seriously. Sure, wiping Tommy out would feel pretty good, but anger does not pay the bills. His syndicate sent him here to collect, not just break bones. Now, going along with this plan seems like his best shot. With a cold glare, Smith turns toward her. Well, Miss Lee, I guess you are coming with us. Sarah glares at Tommy in absolute fury. Kidnapping? For cash? Tommy just scoffs back with total disgust. This is on you. You turned your back on me first. Didn't you always claim you loved me? But you won't even give up a measly $4 billion. Save the romance talk, you fake hypocrite. Smith chuckles coldly. Miss Lee, do not fight us. You have such a pretty face to ruin. I would hate to see anything bad happen to it. Terrified, Sarah quickly yells that she barely even knows this guy. You have the wrong girl. We are totally done. But Tommy just stands there with a smug grin. Sarah, did you forget? You literally divorced your husband back then just for me. Do you seriously dare to say we have no history? Hearing this, she grits her teeth in absolute hatred, whispering that she was completely blind. Talk about a brutal wake-up call. For all these years, she was pouring her heart out to a complete monster. Tommy does not even care. Honestly, Sarah, I never actually loved you for a single second of those years. I only came back to use you. And you basically handed me the perfect chance on a silver platter. I figured you would have moved on by now, but you were still holding on to hope like some desperate fool. Was I really that special to you? Sarah clenches her fists so hard her knuckles turn white. Her nails dig deep into her palms. Too late. She will never feel anything for him again. Standing nearby, Smith sighs in annoyance, telling them both to shut up and just get in the car. He does not give a single damn about their messy drama. He only cares about getting paid. Sarah tries to fight back, but these guys are cold professionals. With one swift blow to the neck, she blacks out. They drag her to a massive, secluded mansion. When she finally blinks her eyes open at night, Tommy is desperately shaking her awake. Sarah, wake up! Blinking her eyes open, she stares directly at the disgusting traitor standing right over her. Pure, white-hot fury explodes in her chest. She opens her mouth to scream, but Tommy quickly clamps his hand over her face. He quickly whispers, Sarah, listen to me. Everything I said earlier was just to throw them off. You should have never been dragged into this. Slip out while they are distracted, and call the police the second you get clear. Do not worry about me. Hearing this, Sarah gets pretty emotional and refuses to leave. She asks what he will do, and Tommy just gives a pretty bitter smile. I am doomed anyway, just run. Actually, what I said earlier was a lie. I only said it to trick them, because I never forgot you. I always wanted to come back and find you. I never had the chance, but seeing you one last time, I can die without regrets. Run, now. But seeing the bad bruises all over Tommy, Sarah feels a sharp pang of deep heartache. Tommy shakes his head, insisting he is fine. Go, he urges. I brought this on myself and cannot drag you down. Hearing this fake confession, Sarah completely falls for it and absolutely refuses to leave his side now. If she leaves, they will kill him. She lost him once 3 years ago, and she is not losing him again. Tommy fakes pure panic, warning her they will both die, but Sarah has a look of total determination now. It does not matter, if I die with you, so be it. Besides, my wealthy parents will not just ignore me. They will definitely find a way to save us. With that, she grabs her phone to text her father, Richard. Afraid he won't believe it, she records video proof. Check out this snake while she is panicking. He is actually smirking behind her back before sneaking into the next room. Tommy grins at the boss in front of him, bragging that his simple plan worked out exactly as promised. Smith looks genuinely surprised, admitting he pretty much underestimated just how cold and manipulative Tommy could be. Right after they knocked Sarah out earlier, Tommy pitched this wild setup, but Smith did not buy it. Who would be dumb enough to keep falling for this guy? Well, Sarah is, completely proving Smith totally overestimated her. Tommy just smirks. Just standard business, he says. He feels zero guilt, calling Sarah a stupid woman who is far too trusting and totally deserves to get scammed. Why feel bad? If she is this incredibly foolish, someone else would scam her anyway, so it might as well be him. Suddenly, a new plan hits Tommy. He grins wickedly. He reveals Sarah has a younger sister, and he already has her home address and a bunch of her photos. If they grab her sister too, the wealthy Lee family will have absolutely no choice but to pay up. Smith thinks it over and agrees to make the arrangements. To get his hands on that $4 billion, he will do absolutely anything. 2 targets instead of just 1? Now that is a bargain. Meanwhile, over at the family villa, Richard is losing his mind after watching the terrifying hostage video. He was furious with Sarah before and almost disowned her, but family is family, and he cannot just ignore this. Family is family. He cannot deny it. The demand? A massive $4 billion. Paying that massive sum would completely bankrupt them. You and I both know that is an impossible choice. While Richard is panicking over what to do, he suddenly realizes his younger daughter, Mia, is not answering either. When her phone finally rings back, a cold, strange voice tells him not to panic. They claim they just invited both of his daughters over as guests, promising to keep them safe if they behave. Richard clenches his fists in pure rage, yelling that if they dare touch a single hair on his daughters. Before he can even finish, the line goes completely dead. Right now, Mia is staring in absolute terror at a group of heavy thugs in black, demanding to know who they are. She never offends anyone, so why would anyone kidnap her like this? These guys are way too bold. Smith smiles and tells her there is absolutely no need to be so terrified. He says they just wanted to invite her over, and as long as she behaves, they will not hurt her. Mia snaps back, demanding they release her immediately or her powerful brother-in-law will make them pay a heavy price. Smith does not care, ordering his men to lock Mia in the room with Sarah. When Sarah sees her sister pushed into the room, she gasps, asking why she was captured too. Mia looks completely baffled, demanding to know what is going on, so a pretty guilty Sarah sighs and confesses everything that happened today. Hearing how they got tricked, Mia is absolutely furious. So we both got dragged down by that useless Tommy? Sarah quickly shakes her head, defending him. Mia, you have him all wrong. This whole mess is not his fault, he's a victim here too. Mia just stares at her love-struck sister, completely speechless. Look at our situation. Why are you still taking his side? Sarah patiently tries to explain, yes, this started because of him, but it was an accident. Besides, he got kidnapped too. Mia is absolutely fuming. What does him being captured have to do with us? We did not force him to borrow that money. So why are we the ones being held for ransom? She never liked Tommy to begin with, and this makes it so much worse. Now she detests him even more, but seeing her sister trash-talk her precious boyfriend like that makes Sarah snap. Shut up, talking about this is completely useless. She absolutely hates hearing anyone bad-mouth her man. Totally done with her brain-dead sister, Mia slips past the distracted guards and secretly calls you for help. Brother-in-law, my sister and I have been kidnapped. Please, you have to save us. Hearing Mia beg you for help, Sarah sneers in disgust. Why on earth are you calling him right now? He is just a total loser. What can he possibly do? Mia ignores her and quickly blurts out their situation. Just when you are about to get their location, the line suddenly goes completely dead. Talk about bad timing. Left with no choice, you call Richard. He picks up with a heavy sigh. Mark, I was just about to call you. They have been taken. The kidnappers are demanding a full $4 billion in ransom to let them go. What do I do? Calming him down, you say, do not panic. I already know and will handle the ransom. Richard is completely stunned. This is not $400,000. It is a massive $4 billion. That is our entire family estate. How? You do not explain. You just tell him to stay calm and hang up. Calling Mia's number again, it rings forever before someone finally picks up, and you speak up in a deep, dark voice. I do not care who you are. You guys just want cash. As long as they are safe, I will pay the $4 billion. On the other end, Smith grows deeply suspicious. Why should I believe you? Tommy just says the guy on the phone is a nobody. How can a loser get $4 billion? You growl back. Listen to me very carefully. My name is Martin York, from the elite York family of the capital. Go ask around. I have zero reason to lie. You will get the $4 billion, but if you hurt them, I do not care where you run. I will hunt you down and end you. Exposing your true identity was the last thing you wanted, but with Mia's life on the line, you could not afford to take chances. A massive plot twist. Cold sweat instantly pours down Smith's face. He obviously knows about the Yorks. They are a peak-tier powerhouse in the country, with backing from the very top of government. Even massive overseas mobs would never dare cross them. Not once. Running into them here in Jianghai City is his worst nightmare. Nearby, Tommy is paralyzed with shock. It really is him. He suspected long ago that Mark and the legendary Martin were the same guy, but he never had proof to verify it. Who would dare investigate? Still, he is completely baffled. Why on earth would the heir of the mighty York family choose to become a pathetic, live-in son-in-law for the Lees? Before he can wrap his head around it, Smith kicks him hard right in the ribs. Bastard, you said he was a nobody. If he had any idea that capturing Sarah and Mia would cross the capital Yorks, he would have never touched them. Sure, 4 billion is nice, but it is not worth being relentlessly hunted by the most terrifying family in the country. Sweating bullets, Tommy stammers that he did not know either. Smith quickly gasps for air and speaks into the phone. Young Master York, hello. I think this is all a massive misunderstanding. Please, I hope you are not angry. Your voice remains absolutely ice cold as you cut him off. I do not care about your misunderstandings. Bottom line, if a single hair on their heads is harmed, I guarantee you will not leave this country alive. Smith quickly promises that they only want the money, not their lives. But you are completely done wasting your breath on them. You demand their address so you can head over right now. Hearing this, Smith cannot help but freeze up. He is torn on whether he should actually give it to you. With your insane level of influence, the second he leaks the location, the local underworld will completely swarm their hideout. He dreads to think what will happen to him. You scoff with pure contempt. What? Are you terrified? Cornered, Smith has to agree fine, but you must come completely alone. If we catch wind of any backup tag teaming with you, we absolutely cannot guarantee their safety. Fine, I'll go alone. He knew exactly what they were planning anyway. Not wanting to waste any time, he drove straight to the address Smith sent him. Seeing him arrive entirely unaccompanied, Smith let out a massive sigh of relief. He smiled, calling him a true man of his word. Cut the crap! Where are they? Mark coldly demanded answers, so Smith quickly guided him inside. Spotting his face, Mia instantly sprinted over in pure excitement, crying that her brother-in-law had finally come to save her. He looked at her with deep worry, checking if she was hurt. But she proudly told him not to worry at all. With him there, nobody would dare touch her. Standing nearby, Sarah frowned deeply at this display. Sarah demanded to know why he was there. With a freezing look, he replied that he obviously came to rescue them. Did she think he came to chat? Sarah just sneered with pure contempt, asking how someone like him could ever get them out of this. She refused to believe he could save them, mockingly asking who he thought he was. These captors were brutal, highly trained outlaws. In her mind, even a man with supernatural powers would be completely useless against them. He shot her an irritated look, snapping at her to shut her mouth. Honestly, without Mia there, he wouldn't care if Sarah died. Furious, Sarah snapped. She demanded to know what was wrong with his attitude. He could not be bothered with her, asking what his attitude had to do with her, or who she even was. Standing on the side, Smith watched their dramatic bickering, staring at Sarah in absolute confusion. He asked Miss Lee if this man was indeed the legendary young Master York from the capital. At this point, he was highly doubting the guy's identity. If this man truly was the heir to the massive York family, then Sarah's disrespectful attitude made absolutely zero sense to him. Sarah froze. Stunned, she stammered out how it was possible for him to be Martin York. He looked at her with absolute pity. Sarah, oh Sarah, you really are an unbelievable idiot. You still cannot see it. Infuriated, Sarah screamed, asking how he dared call her an idiot, while he only looked back with pure disdain. Are you not? The shocking truth finally hit Sarah. Mark really was Martin York. She was completely paralyzed. A fool. She truly was a complete fool. She should have connected the dots ages ago, so why did she stubbornly ignore it? Ignoring their drama, Smith stepped in to eagerly ask if he brought the money. He did not care about their messy relationship. All he wanted was the massive payout that belonged to him. Mark turned to Smith, coldly offering the money on one condition: he had to reveal the mastermind behind this entire setup. Get ready for this. Smith's very next words make Sarah freeze instantly, while Tommy's face turns green with absolute rage. Tommy never expected his partner to turn around and sell him out so easily, while Smith simply shot Mark a friendly smile. Smith quickly explained they only wanted the cash, pointing the finger directly at Tommy and claiming they never wanted to hurt the sisters. Showing absolutely zero surprise at the betrayal, he calmly handed his bank card to Smith. He stated there were 4 billion inside for them to verify, making Smith snatch the card with greedy excitement. Smith smiled happily, praising the young master for being a straightforward businessman. He promised they would never harm the innocent unless forced to, but Mark had zero interest in wasting any more breath on him. With a freezing expression, he asked if they were finally free to go, and Smith nodded eagerly. Smith ordered his men to free the ladies. Two guards immediately stepped forward and untied the ropes binding Sarah and Mia. Mia rushed over to his side. Although the girl had acted tough the entire time, the terrifying reality was finally sinking in. He softly reassured her that the danger had passed, while Smith gave his henchmen a silent, knowing look. Catching his drift, the guards instantly bound Tommy and tossed him right in front of Mark. Smiling warmly, Smith told the young master he loved making powerful friends, handing Tommy over to him to deal with as a personal favor. Mark simply gave a brief nod, but that was when Sarah stepped up, staring at him with absolute intensity. She demanded to know whether she should call him Mark or Martin York, but his face remained completely blank. Her voice cracked with grief as she corrected herself, asking if she should address him as young Master Martin instead. She begged to know if he had anything to say to her, but he coldly asked if there was anything left. Sarah screamed out, demanding to know if he felt even a tiny shred of genuine guilt deep in his heart. He was the wealthy heir to the most powerful family in the capital, yet he chose to hide his identity just to marry her, lying to her face for 3 whole years. Asking if he took her for an idiot, she got only a look of pure contempt. Sarah, hearing the word guilt coming out of your mouth, honestly, I am pretty surprised myself. Mark or Martin, it is just a title, but think about how I treated you these past 3 years. Did you seriously feel nothing? Sarah choked back a painful sob. I know you had feelings for me, but you treated me like a toy. You never actually trusted me, did you? You stared at her. Blank face. Look, on this one thing, I was indeed wrong, but I never planned to hide it from you. I just never found the right moment to tell you. Besides, it is not like you ever asked me either. To you, I was always just a substitute for another man. Sarah still found that incredibly hard to swallow. Excuses? Those are nothing but excuses. You did this on purpose, just to watch me play the fool. You just wanted to keep me in the dark. You looked completely unbothered. Think whatever you want, we are already divorced anyway. Sarah looked at you, her face twisted in fake hurt. Martin, you have disappointed me so much. You just laughed. You have disappointed me way more than once or twice. Why act like you hold the moral high ground? If you actually knew my true identity back then, would you really have stayed? Hearing this, Sarah went dead silent. Deep down, she knew the truth. Even if she had known Mark was wealthy, she still would have walked away. Maybe she would have hesitated a bit more, but Tommy was her only love. You shot her an impatient glare. Enough. Stop playing the victim. After 3 years of marriage, I do not owe you a single thing. We are divorced, so let us just part ways cleanly. Besides, I have treated you with more than enough respect, haven't I? You turned your eyes to Tommy. Honestly, watch his face pale as you say, as for you, it seems you owe me. Tommy felt your cold gaze and instantly panicked. What do you want? I am warning you, do not try anything funny. What do I want to do? You let out a dark sneer, then slammed a fist straight into his face. Making me throw away 4 billion to save a piece of absolute garbage like you? And you still have the absolute nerve to ask me what I am going to do? Consider this some upfront interest. You kept talking as you rained brutal punch after punch straight into Tommy's body. Sarah finally snapped out of her daze. She shrieked, Martin York. Stop this right now. I forbid you to touch him. You stared at Sarah in utter shock. Do you even realize what you are actually saying right now? With things at this point, you could not believe she was still defending this clown. Sarah looked back coldly. Of course I know, but this is not entirely his fault. I share the blame for this. I told him to do it. You told him to do it? You simply could not believe your ears. He almost got your sister Mia killed. Did you tell him to do that too? Sarah kept arguing. Martin, stop overreacting. It is really not as bad as you are making it sound. Those kidnappers just wanted cash. Tommy indeed made a mistake, but that was never his actual intention. Besides, Mia is perfectly fine now, is she not? You stared at Sarah, absolutely furious. Mia and I are safe, yes, but I lost 4 billion. If I did not pay up, can you guarantee they wouldn't have hurt you? Sarah shrugged, looking completely unbothered. You paid 4 billion, sure, but that tiny amount of money shouldn't really matter to you, right? As long as Mia is safe, is that not enough? I know you guys are screaming at this audacity. You think 4 billion is just pocket change? Is my money fake? What kind of fantasy world are you living in? Sarah scoffed. What is the big deal? If you feel so ripped off, you shouldn't have saved us earlier. Is $4 billion really that important to you? You actually laughed out of sheer rage. Sarah, I used to think you were just blinded by love. But now? You cannot even tell right from wrong. Since you adore him so much, why don't you pay back the 4 billion for him? Seeing the sheer contempt on your face, Sarah felt a sharp sting slice straight through her chest. Gritting her teeth, She spat back, fine, if I have to pay it, I will. It is only 4 billion. Exactly. Right then, Tommy managed to scramble to his feet, standing proudly next to Sarah. It is only 4 billion. It is not like we cannot pay it back. He actually shot Sarah a smug, confident look. Honestly, you almost threw up from sheer disgust. You snapped impatiently, then hurry up and write me an IOU. You two are honestly repulsive. Sarah quickly scribbled out the IOU and shoved it into your hand. Are you satisfied now? You scanned the paper and slowly shook your head. Not yet. You must add one more clause. Interest has to be paid on time every single month. Sarah stared in total disbelief. Martin, do not cross the line. You actually want interest? You looked down at her with nothing but cold disdain. Sarah, we have zero relationship right now. Why wouldn't I charge interest? I am not a charity. Write the clause. Hearing this, Sarah ground her teeth. Fine, fine, interest it is. What is the big deal? With that, she aggressively added the new clause. You pocketed the IOU and gave her a freezing stare. Miss Lee, you better remember exactly what you just said. If you fail to pay me back, expect a lawsuit immediately. Sarah gasped, claiming she had never seen a man with so little class. Imagine being this petty to your own ex-wife. But you simply could not stomach another second of her hypocritical whining. You turned to Mia and suggested leaving because this trash drama was making you nauseous. Mia nodded along in deep agreement. She shot a disgusted glare at her sister and Tommy, scoffed loudly, and followed you right out the door. With you gone, Tommy immediately started cursing. He never expected that loser Mark to actually be the famous Martin York. How could he hide his identity from them for so long? Then bam, Sarah slapped Tommy hard. Now that's what I call satisfying. Tommy whined, asking why she hit him, but Sarah just gritted her teeth. Such a massive secret, and he never said a single word. He even dragged her little sister into this mess. So what was his real game? Tommy quickly stammered an apology to his angry girlfriend. He claimed he only did it because he cared too much, hoping to shield her from his own messy life. He began slapping his own face, crying that he deserved to die. Naturally, Sarah's heart immediately ached for him. She rushed forward to stop him from hurting himself, saying with deep affection that she was sorry for misunderstanding his sweet intentions. She reminded him that she waited for him for years, and she was never afraid of being dragged down by his struggles. Keeping secrets was the only thing that truly hurt her. Smirking secretly, Tommy promised this would be the absolute last time he hid anything. He swore to be completely honest from now on, while laughing hysterically on the inside. Honestly, you can't make this up. It's a good thing his girlfriend was incredibly gullible, because she bought his fake apology instantly. Sarah nodded happily, already dreaming about a gorgeous, perfect future with her wonderful man. Meanwhile, out on the street, Mia looked at you with deep concern, begging you not to be angry. Her sister was always like that, and she saw the entire pathetic display firsthand. Honestly, she felt totally disgusted. After such a massive mess, her sister was still defending that useless scumbag. It was completely wild, but you just smiled, shook your head, and said you were not mad. She was simply not worth wasting your energy on. Hearing that, Mia finally let out a massive sigh of relief. She clenched her tiny fists, declaring seriously that her older sister had crossed the line this time, but she promised to find a way to pay back some of that massive debt herself. You stared at her, completely confused, asking what any of this had to do with her. Mia pouted, arguing that it had everything to do with her. After all, you lost $4 billion just to rescue her. Smiling, you gently patted her head, telling her that losing some money was a minor issue. Her safety was the only thing that actually mattered. Since her sister promised to pay, this whole mess had absolutely nothing to do with Mia. She was just an innocent victim here. You insisted she stop worrying, as you had no intention of letting her pay you back. You told her to let go of the guilt. Grinning widely, Mia cheered that her brother-in-law was truly the best. She saw the truth clearly now. Her foolish sister was totally unworthy of a man like you. Then she asked if you could wait for her to grow up so she could marry you instead. You just shook your head in pure disbelief. You told her to stop talking nonsense because it was getting late. Your head throbbed, wondering what wild thoughts filled this kid's brain all day. Mia just playfully stuck her tongue out, looking adorable, and decided not to argue with you anymore. Instead, she firmly declared that she was dead serious, telling you to just wait and see. She was absolutely going to marry you in the future. Hearing this bold declaration made your head ache even more. You walked her home in dead silence. Relieved to see his daughter completely safe, Richard cried out, thanking the heavens that his girls were all right. Mia giggled, proudly boasting that her awesome brother-in-law had shielded them the entire time. Hearing this, Richard turned dead serious, correcting himself from calling you Mark to Martin, admitting they already knew the whole story. He thanked you deeply for rescuing his little girl and actually prepared to kneel down right on the spot. Startled, you quickly rushed forward to pull Richard up, asking how an elder could possibly kneel to a junior. You joked that this respect would literally shorten your lifespan, but Richard still insisted on bowing deeply to show his gratitude. He declared that Martin deserved all the respect, promising that the Lee family would never forget his immense kindness. Quite embarrassed, you insisted he was exaggerating, claiming you only did what any decent person would do. You told him all the ceremony was unnecessary. Richard sighed, pulling out a card, explaining that it held $2 billion. He revealed it was every single penny his family had saved over the years. As for the remaining $2 billion, we will find a way to get it to you quickly. You just frown, refusing it immediately. What is this even for? I cannot accept this cash. But Richard insists. Martin, to save my daughter, you risked your life and lost $4 billion. I will not let you pay for this. Just take the money, please. You quickly explain that you cannot take this cash, and you did not actually pay that $4 billion either. Richard is completely baffled. You did not pay? Then who did? You just shake your head, telling him not to worry. Let us just drop this whole thing. Seeing how stubborn you are, Richard backs off. But he is still incredibly confused. Martin, I never thought you were part of the wealthy York family from the capital. Why did you keep your true identity a secret? It is a long story. You simply have to explain the whole mess to him. Richard sighs and shakes his head, telling you that you did absolutely nothing wrong. My foolish daughter just lacked the wisdom to appreciate you. Good men are ignored, while scoundrels get favored. As her father, I failed to teach her well. You smile and pat Richard on the shoulder, calling him Dad to comfort him. Everything is in the past now. No matter what, you are still my father. But look, it is late, so I should probably head out. You prepare to leave, but Richard quickly stops you from leaving. Since you are already here and the night is young, just stay over. You can head out tomorrow morning. You try to refuse, but Richard grips your hand tightly and begs you to stay. Well, guess who is sleeping over tonight? Richard waits for you to settle in, then sneaks over to Mia's room. Mia asks him why he is visiting, knowing her father rarely comes to her room unless there is some kind of emergency. Richard looks at his daughter and speaks seriously. Mia, your brother-in-law. He risked everything to save your life. You cannot be like your sister. You must keep this massive favor close to your heart. Mia nods seriously. I know that, Dad, and I am definitely not ungrateful. Then Richard adds, a bit awkwardly, that her brother-in-law is a truly exceptional man. It is such a shame your sister was too foolish to cherish him. Tell me, do you like him too? Hearing this from her dad, Mia blushes furiously but still gives a firm nod, making Richard instantly breathe a sigh of relief. He awkwardly explains that her brother-in-law is staying overnight at their house. If he gets thirsty tonight, we would look like terrible hosts. Mia immediately catches onto her dad's hidden meaning here. Her face turns completely red all the way to her ears, but she still turns around and nods. She knows exactly what to do tonight. Later that night, bright moonlight streams right into the quiet guest room. You are about to sleep when a soft knock sounds. Before you can even answer, the door gently swings open. Mia stands there holding a glass of water, wearing her mom's oversized silk nightgown. It is way too big, yet she still looks stunning. Her face is bright red, completely ruining her attempt to act calm. Brother-in-law, Dad thought you might get thirsty. You look at the shaking girl, feeling a mix of amusement and pure helplessness. You step forward, take the glass of water, and place it gently on the nightstand. Then, you wrap a blanket over her shoulders, telling her she is too smart to do something reckless just out of gratitude. Mia looks up with red eyes. This is not about gratitude. I genuinely like you. Why can't you accept me? Is it because I am not as pretty as my sister? You sigh and pat her head. This has nothing to do with her. You are only 18 with a bright future, and I just escaped a failed 3-year marriage. I will not ruin your life. Mia bites her lip, trying to hold back her tears. Do I have a chance in the future? You smile softly, telling her to sleep. Let time decide. Hearing this gentle, open answer, Mia finally flashes a smile. Suddenly, she stands on her tiptoes, plants a quick kiss on your cheek, and bolts out like a scared rabbit. You can only shake your head. This family is an absolute mess. But while Martin relaxes, let us check in on Sarah, who is currently living through pure torture. The massive $4 billion debt crushes her like a mountain. She scrambles to sell off all her luxury cars, designer handbags, and expensive jewelry, but it is barely a drop in the bucket. Even worse, Tommy has completely changed since the kidnapping, growing more and more hostile and irritable by the day. He locks himself in the study, whispering frantically into his phone. Then, one afternoon, Sarah returns to the villa surprisingly early. She headed upstairs, eagerly hoping to find warm comfort in her lover's arms. But near the study, she hears Tommy's voice coming through the cracked door talking about draining the Lee Group's secondary accounts. He says he already transferred 50 million. He needs the private jet ready in 2 hours, before anyone can even touch him. Sarah completely freezes, her blood running cold. She throws the door open, staring in absolute disbelief. Tommy is desperately stuffing heavy piles of cash and jewelry into a duffel bag. He panics for a second, then acts cool. He casually says she is home early. Sarah's voice shakes. Is he robbing her family? Is he running away? Tommy just sighs, dropping his sweet guy routine to reveal a freezing glare. He tells her to get real. She owes Martin York $4 billion. She is a sinking ship. Did she really expect him to drown with her? Sarah feels a knife plunge into her heart, but he said he loved her. They were supposed to face this together, and she even divorced her husband. Tommy just laughs in her face. That just proves her sheer stupidity. He needed a foolish scapegoat to cover his tracks, and she volunteered. She looked incredibly pathetic, begging her billionaire ex-husband for help while protecting a criminal. He says he almost felt bad for her. Key word, almost. Screaming in agony, Sarah lunges forward, trying to yank the bag away from him. She demands her family's cash back, but Tommy's eyes flash with fury. He raises his arm and delivers a violent slap. With a hard smack, Sarah crashes down, her cheeks swelling up fast. He stares down in total disgust, telling her to stay out of his way. Zipping up his duffel, he steps right over her weeping body and leaves. On the floor, her whole world breaks into a million pieces. The painful truth finally sinks in deep. Martin was totally right. Her dad was right. She was a massive fool. Racing toward the airport, Tommy's heart is pounding with greedy excitement. He has $50 million and a brand new life ahead. But as he nears the private runway, check this out, 3 black SUVs slide in, blocking him completely. Tommy stomps on his brakes in total terror. Side doors fly open, and a dozen menacing guys in suits step out. From the middle car, a very familiar figure steps out. It is you. You stroll up to his window and tap. Tommy, shaking like a leaf, rolls down the glass and stammers, asking what you are doing there. You look at the heavy bag on his passenger seat. Stealing from the Lees? Tommy, you really are pure garbage. Did he really forget that the Lee family's debts belong to you now, meaning he is stealing your cash? Terrified, Tommy shoves the bag through the window, begging you to take everything and let him escape. You just chuckle coldly. Let him go? You already warned him that anyone crossing you ends up in a very miserable spot. You wave. Your guards drag a screaming Tommy out of his seat, hand him to the cops. With all the solid evidence of massive fraud and embezzlement you've gathered, he will spend his entire life rotting in a dark cell. As they drag him off like a dead dog, your own face remains completely blank and indifferent. A month later, the Lee Group officially goes bankrupt, completely unable to pay back that massive $4 billion debt. But very quietly, you buy the whole thing. You set up a new parent company in Shanghai City, merging them with the Yan family's projects. Victoria Yan steps up as your partner, managing your massive $30 billion investment empire. For Richard and Barbara, you buy a luxury villa under Mia's name and give him a comfortable, wealthy executive role. Life was finally good. Mia gets into her dream university in the capital, which makes it way too easy for her to bother you when you visit. You never promise her anything official, but she stays right by your side, letting time develop your bond. Meanwhile, Sarah has absolutely nothing left to her name. Stripped of her cash and pride, she is far too ashamed to accept any help from her parents. On one wet afternoon, your sleek luxury Maybach stops at a busy central red light, and looking through the dark window, you happen to glance out. Look right there, standing outside a run-down cafe, a girl in a cheap uniform is handing out flyers in the freezing rain. Her hair is soaked, her face worn out and looking 20 years older. It's Sarah. A sports car speeds past, splashing filthy water all over her. She does not even have the energy to care anymore. She just wipes the dirt away, her tears mixing with the storm. Suddenly, she looks up and locks eyes with your Maybach. Through the dark window glass, it is almost like she knows you are sitting right inside. Look at her face, her eyes wide, with a sudden, crushing regret. She steps forward as if to beg, but the traffic light finally turns green. Drive, you say calmly. The Maybach roared to life, leaving her shrinking in the rearview mirror as you leaned back in your seat and closed your eyes. Your bitter past was finally dead. The future, belonging to Martin York, had officially just begun.